Chapter 13:11. Qin Wentian has arrived. The experts from the Changqing the Great Alliance heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Qin Wentian arriving. The pressure Huang Shatian gave them was too great, he could insta-kill geniuses. In their camp, other than Qin Wentian, there seemed to be no one else who could face Huang Shatian head-on. Before this, Huang Shatian only needed a single strike to kill an expert. But luckily, Qin Wentian arrived in time. His appearance instantly stabilized the hearts of everyone. Huang Shatian, your opponent is me. Huang Shatian stood arrogantly in the air as he coldly spoke. After hearing Bujia's words, he didn't beg for the experts from the Devil Mountain to retract their orders. Since they wanted to fight, he would fight then. This battle was unavoidable, and right now, Qin Wentian was confident that if he fought against Huang Shatian again, he would only win. Huang Shaishan's gaze when he stared at Qin Wentian was no longer filled with absolute confidence. Instead, it was heavy. He had already clashed with Qin Wentian twice, and each time, Qin Wentian would give him a pleasant surprise. This time, Qin Wentian, who had broken through to the 9th level, would only be stronger and harder to deal with. Bzz. The light screen in the sky manifested as spatial laws enveloped the surroundings, engulfing all the divine weapons. Each and every divine weapon exuded a supreme divine glow, exuding an unexcelled sharpness that was extremely terrifying. You should know that this kind of attack is useless against me. Qin Wentian stared at Huang Shatian as he spoke arrogantly. Only to see Huang Shatian pointing out with a finger as he spat out the word, kill. In an instant, countless divine weapons shot out. Each beam of killing light transformed into a divine weapon that contained terrifying attack power. However, the light screen on Qin Wentian's body was extremely terrifying, it could be broken apart and reborn again. Then I'll let you experience it. Huang Shatian stretched out his hands. Instantly, a violent and sharp devil might engulfed the area, causing the entire space to tremble. At this moment, the other participants in combat were all drawn into this tempest. Numerous divine weapons seemed to have been demonized, all of them actually flew towards Huang Shatian, merging into the illusory killing light screen. Huang Shatian was like an invincible divine weapon. At this moment, there was only an extremely domineering sharpness. Let me see how strong your defense is. Huang Shatian coldly spoke. Countless devil attacks rained down on him, each and every one of them was the sharpest and most tyrannical of divine weapons. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly, shattering the ancient characters and shattering the light screen as they shot towards Qin Wentian. An ancient halberd appeared in Qin Wentian's hand as a destructive might gushed forth. 8 demonic dragons revolved around him as he blasted out with his palms, activating the power of God's hand. At this moment, a terrifying vortex of killing manifested, devouring all incoming attacks. Come here. Huang Shatian roared. Qin Wentian only felt the ancient halberd in his hand trembling uncontrollably as it was being demonized bit by bit. His eyes gleamed with a fearsome devilish light as a terrifying devil will gushed forth, expelling Qin Wentian's will. Huang Shaishan's countenance flashed. He folded hand seals as the devil might in the surroundings gushed towards him, fusing together with the illusory light screen behind him, growing even stronger. Go! Huang Shatian pointed out with his finger. Killing intent filled the air as devil might gushed forth. This entire space transformed into a scene of doomsday as countless devil weapons rushed towards Qin Wentian, tyrannical to the extreme. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the sky. All of a sudden, a terrifying devil might gushed forth from him, churning unceasingly. His eyes radiated a tyrannical devil will, like the will of the king of the Devil Islands. Ha! Qin Wentian let out a thunderous roar, shaking the heavens and earth. Devil might gushed forth, churning unceasingly. After that, Qin Wentian lifted his palm and blasted it outwards. In an instant, a scene of destruction appeared in this space. The churning devil might seemed to have turned chaotic and was completely enveloped by a gigantic palm imprint. After that, they were all destroyed, causing the entire space to explode as chaotic currents of energy gushed forth in all directions. The two of them are so terrifying. More and more experts paid attention to this battle, including the countless pilgrims at the foot of the Devil Mountain. Before this, many people were already curious about why there would be an internal battle between the experts who came down from the Devil Mountain. After that, they discovered that many of these people were actually from the immortal realms, Wuxiu. Up until now, the strength of the two combatants had already reached such an extent, simply shocking the heavens and earth, reaching the peak of their cultivation realm. When the destructive might dissipated, Huang Shatian and Qin Wentian both stopped and stared at each other. Huang Shaishan's eyes were filled with heaviness, while Qin Wentian's eyes were filled with coldness. In the past, he needed to use the power of his bloodline and devilization before he could fight against Huang Shatian in his strongest state. But now, just by relying on his cultivation base, he could already fight against Huang Shatian without losing out. If he used the power of his bloodline, he would instantly gain an absolute advantage. Since he thought of this point, Huang Shatian naturally thought of it as well. This was why his expression was so heavy. After fighting against Qin Wentian 3 times, Qin Wentian grew stronger and stronger each time. This time around, after exiting the inheritance ground of the Saint Devil Hall, Huang Shatian should have been even more terrifying. But this was the first time he didn't have the confidence to win against Qin Wentian. Huang Shatian folded his hands, and at this moment, 9 ancient human emperors appeared. The shadow of the human emperors descended upon him, fusing together with him. At this instant, Huang Shatian seemed to have transformed into a human emperor. The light screen behind him shone with a dazzling brilliance as countless divine weapons fused into one, merging into Huang Shatian. At this moment, his body had become a divine weapon. Bzz. From Huang Shaishan's body, an ancient human emperor's sword radiating devilish might manifested. The heavens and earth split apart as the void shattered. This sword slashed down, wanting to destroy everything. Boom! A supreme might erupted forth from Qin Wentian. His entire body radiated a towering devilish might as he transformed into a devil. He inclined his head, causing the heavens and earth to change. A supreme devilish might gushed forth, causing the speed at which the heaven-opening sword slashed down to slow down. God's hand blasted out, the 8 demons shook the heavens and earth as a vortex enveloped the heavens and earth, wanting to devour the ancient human emperor's sword. However, Huang Shatian didn't seem to have heard it. Boundless energy gathered around him as devil might churned unceasingly. The entire space was filled with an extreme sharpness, and the energy that flowed into his body gradually transformed him into a devil god weapon. In the next instant, Huang Shaishan's silhouette directly vanished from sight. A whistling sound filled the air, only a supreme devil might and a sharp killing intent could be seen. A beam of destructive light shot through the air, shuttling through the void. Chi! A beam of devilish might descended before Qin Wentian, directly annihilating all existences. An overwhelming sense of danger suddenly descended. If this attack landed, it would be sufficient to kill Qin Wentian. The devil-transformed Qin Wentian exuded a towering devil might. His eyes were deep and black, and at the instant he sensed danger, a supreme will manifested. The will of all the devils in the world seemed to fuse into one as the faint shadow of a supreme devil king manifested. He stared at the incomparably sharp killing sword, as though it was impossible for him to block this attack. He then spat out a single word, "Stop." This sword strike that could cleave apart the heavens and earth actually froze for an instant. The energy contained within this strike was actually being absorbed by the devilized Qin Wentian, flowing towards the devilized Qin Wentian. Die! Huang Shaishan's silhouette drifted over from the void. That attack was none other than Huang Shatian himself. He had already transformed into this supreme devil divine weapon. Stop! Qin Wentian roared once more, akin to the rage of a devil king. He lifted his hand and pointed a finger forward. With this finger, boundless devil might seem to transform into the same attack, blasting towards that all-annihilating attack. Even time seemed to slow down. At this moment, Qin Wentian was like a supreme devil king. The power of God's hand frenziedly gushed forth. He lifted his palm and the 8 demonic beasts howled in rage, transforming into a terrifying vortex that could devour the heavens and earth. The devil might contained within the vortex blasted out, wanting to destroy everything. Rumble, the 2 attacks collided together, causing explosions to unceasingly appear in the air. The attack that was shooting towards Qin Wentian was flung away, landing on the ground and actually transformed into a figure. It was none other than the figure of Huang Shatian. Pooh! A mouthful of fresh blood was coughed out. Huang Shaishan's countenance was as pale as paper. His aura fluctuated intensely, but what was even more intense was the fluctuations in his heart. Defeated. He, Huang Shatian, after the first battle in Tiandao's Sacred Academy, returned to the 9 Emperor's immortal state to inherit the supreme ultimate art of the Fallen Devil Island and fought against Qin Wentian for the second time on the Fallen Devil Island. The battle ended in a draw again. This was the 3rd battle and he, Huang Shatian, was defeated. He was truly defeated. He was defeated head-on. Also, this was after he obtained the inheritance of the Devil Mountain. When the 2 alliances saw the ending of this battle, their hearts couldn't calm down. That fellow actually defeated Huang Shatian. In that case, who else in the alliance of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom would be able to contend against him? Dang, dang. At this moment, the sound of bells ringing rang out as a fearsome baleful aura engulfed the area. Qin Wentian abruptly turned his head, only to see an expert of the White Tiger people taking out a divine weapon and launching an attack at him. The baleful aura of a white tiger rushed over. He instantly took out the demon's sword and with a wave of his hand, the demon's sword transformed into a gigantic sword that was over 1,000 meters long. The silhouette of a great rock appeared, wanting to destroy everything, blocking in front of him. Kill him. That White Tiger people coldly spoke. If Huang Shatian died, the consequences would be unimaginable. Right now, they could only use their divine weapons to join forces and kill Qin Wentian. Huang Shatian stood up. His dim eyes flashed with determination. Since he was already defeated, he could only eliminate Qin Wentian to prevent any future troubles. At this instant, a light screen 10,000 meters wide appeared as the sky changed color. From Huang Shatian, a supreme treasure light gushed forth, capable of annihilating everything. A dazzling brilliance shot out, so dazzling that no one could open their eyes. In that light screen, a peerless Renhuang covered in endless golden celestial light appeared. He was clad in golden armor and held a peerless sword in his hand. Chapter 13:12. How powerful! Great waves of shock rose in the hearts of everyone. Before this, they already felt how terrifying Huang Shaishan's divine weapon was. At this moment, when Huang Shaishan's divine weapon unleashed its might, everyone could clearly feel how terrifying it was. The light caused them to feel a piercing pain in their eyes. When they opened their eyes, they only saw that supreme human emperor wielding a sword that could split heaven and earth apart. A screen of light enveloped this entire space. Everything was under the attack of this divine weapon. Huang Shaishan's will seemed to have fused into the body of the supreme human emperor. His entire body was bathed in the Supreme Emperor light. Huang Shatian obtained the inheritance of the 9 Emperors' immortal state. Among them, this supreme divine weapon was included, an emperor-ranked weapon. The stronger he was, the more terrifying the might of this divine weapon would be. If it was controlled by an immortal emperor, it would truly have the power to split heaven and earth apart. This was a divine weapon used by the founding emperor of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, yet it was given to Huang Shatian to use. From this, one could very well imagine how much hope the 9 Emperors' immortal state had for Huang Shatian. Clearly, as one of the strongest geniuses of this generation in the immortal realms, Huang Shatian was also one of the most outstanding geniuses in the 9 Emperors' immortal state. The empire was nurturing him as the future human emperor. On the Devil Mountain, many devil wills enveloped this space. Even those powerful devil cultivators felt their hearts shaking, sighing at how unexcelled this divine weapon was. Qin Wentian had a heavy expression on his face. Before this, in the sky suspending battlefield in the fallen devil region, he already knew that Huang Shatian had a supreme divine weapon on him. This was the first time Huang Shatian took out this divine weapon. As expected, it was extremely powerful. Bzz. A bright light flashed as a treasured cauldron appeared before Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian placed his palm on the surface of the cauldron and instantly, a terrifying demonic might radiated from the cauldron. Boundless light radiated forth as numerous terrifying greater demons surged forth, surrounding the cauldron, covering the sacred luminance within. At the same time, Qin Wentian waved his hand. Instantly, the demon's sword transformed into an incomparably gigantic sword. Boundless sword light cascaded downwards, enveloping this entire space. The shadow of a great rock appeared as a screen of sword light blocked everything, isolating immortal and devil senses from prying into it. He would never allow others to see this treasure of his, nor would he allow others to discover the existence of the sacred luminance. Even if he unleashed the might of the treasured cauldron during his battle with Huang Shatian, he would still be able to see what these two treasures were. However, he couldn't completely expose them in front of the Devil Mountain. Those powerful devil cultivators on the Devil Mountain weren't trustworthy people. As expected, you also have a powerful treasure. Huang Shatian stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. You have already lost. Since you have lost, you guys should just admit defeat for this adjudication battle. Qin Wentian spoke to Huang Shatian. My defeat doesn't mean that I have lost the adjudication battle. As long as there's a chance, I will still use all my methods to reverse the situation. If I can kill you, I will definitely do so even if I feel regret after killing you. Huang Shatian coldly spoke. The light from his emperor-ranked weapon engulfed the area, causing the people outside the screen of sword light to retreat frantically. The two of them also understood that if they really used such powerful divine weapons to fight to their heart's content, everyone here would die. This wasn't the ending they wanted. Not only were the experts from their side retreating, even the experts from the surroundings of the Devil Mountain were retreating as well. Their hearts trembled, they didn't expect such a heaven-shaking battle to erupt among these people who came down from the Devil Mountain. Whether it was their strength or their divine weapons, both of them had reached a frightening level. Demon sword, seal this place. Qin Wentian spoke. The demon sword expanded once more, transforming into an incomparably terrifying gigantic sword. Sword might cascaded downwards, enveloping this entire space. It was as though the silhouette of a great rock was enveloping this entire space. That unceasing flow of light was extremely resplendent. Since the immortal realms already have me, Huang Shatian, why would they still need you, Qin Wentian, to exist? Huang Shatian stared at Qin Wentian, the killing intent in his eyes was incomparably sharp. He pointed his finger forward and in that instant, the sky changed color. Countless Supreme Emperor-ranked divine weapons blotted out the sky, enveloping this entire space as they shot towards Qin Wentian, wanting to engulf everything. Huang Shaishan's voice had a hint of sorrow in it, as well as a trace of desolation, the desolation of defeat. Naturally, there was also an intense determination in his heart. He wanted Qin Wentian to die. Since the immortal realms already had him, Huang Shatian, there was no need for Qin Wentian. With Qin Wentian, how could there still be a place for him, Huang Shatian? It was rumored that the Tiandao Sacred Academy was a place that produced ancient emperors. If there was only one of them, there would only be one among the two of them. Qin Wentian's palms slammed down towards the cauldron. At this instant, 8 towering greater demons revolved around Qin Wentian. Each of the greater demons transformed into a terrifying 10,000-meter-long body, enveloping this entire space. The spectators far away had already retreated to an extremely far distance. But the moment they inclined their heads, they could see the gigantic shadow of the greater demons as well as the countless divine weapons. The countless divine weapons destroyed everything, injuring and shattering the greater demons one after another. However, Qin Wentian's palms blasted out again. The 8 greater demons transformed into a terrifying vortex that swept forward, wanting to devour everything. Even the heavens and earth were about to be sucked into this terrifying vortex. Although the space where the two of them fought in was extremely vast, it was still somewhat small when compared to the scene of their battle. That terrifying vortex instantly enveloped the entire space, wanting to devour Huang Shatian and the supreme divine weapons. Only to see Huang Shatian inclined his head, his eyes were cold. He transformed into the human emperor and stretched his hand out, placing it on the hilt of his sword. As he drew it out, a supreme might gushed forth, shaking the heavens and earth. As the sword slashed out, the heavens and earth trembled as the void shattered. Every strand of aura radiating from it was akin to a supreme divine weapon, capable of annihilating everything. This simple action was akin to millions upon millions of divine weapons attacking each other. Terrifying cracks appeared within the vortex, but they were swiftly healed as the vortex continued to devour everything. Countless demonic shadows appeared from within, wanting to devour Huang Shatian. However, at this moment, Huang Shatian was actually extremely calm. He knew what he had in his hands. If even this divine weapon was defeated, only death awaited him. For a character like him, when facing such a battle, he didn't view death at all. He pursued the strongest cultivation base, and in this process, if he was defeated again and again, even if he died, it was only natural. Qin Wentian stared at the fearsome tremors. Back then when he killed the Devil King, such a terrifying scene didn't appear. The all-devouring vortex was actually riddled with cracks, riddled with holes. Peak-level Immortal Foundation experts basically had no way to control such a divine weapon. They could only unleash a small portion of its might, but it was already so terrifying. Slashing out with his sword, Huang Shaishan's body shone with golden light as a supreme armor appeared around him. With a slash of the human emperor's sword, the cracks in the vortex frenziedly connected, containing a supreme spatial energy within. After which, the terrifying vortex was torn apart and finally, a terrifying explosion rang out as the devouring vortex collapsed. Huang Shatian didn't hesitate to slash out with his sword again. As this sword slashed out, cracks appeared in the space around him as boundless energy gushed towards him. Qin Wentian stood within the cauldron as boundless light circulated around him. His bloodline was activated as he transformed into a descendant of a demon god, unleashing a supreme might. Demonic dragons roared, primordial chaos devoured the sky, great rocks tore apart everything, and divine elephants suppressed the void. Boundless attacks, boundless energy, all collided frenziedly in the air, creating a scene of destruction. Since I'm already defeated, even if I borrow the power of a divine weapon, I will still be defeated. Qin Wentian roared. He actually advanced together with the treasured cauldron. The 8 greater demons opened their mouths as the destructive vortex devoured everything, rushing towards Huang Shatian. Huang Shatian didn't say anything. He was the same as Qin Wentian, it was too taxing for him to control such a divine weapon. Even though his affinity with the weapon was already considered perfect, unless he broke through to the immortal emperor realm one day, it would be impossible for him to truly control this supreme divine weapon. What he could control was only the power of his own energy. This was the iron law of cultivation, all divine weapons had to be controlled by stellar martial cultivators. Huang Shaishan's law energy frenziedly gushed into the human emperor's sword. Space attributed, sword attributed, metal attributed and other supreme offensive attributes were all unleashed. Another sword slashed out. This time, it didn't aim at the vortex, nor did it aim at those greater demons. Instead, it shot towards Qin Wentian who was in the treasured cauldron. He wanted to kill Qin Wentian. As long as Qin Wentian died, the person controlling the divine weapon would die. At that time, no matter how strong the divine weapon was, it would be useless. How could Qin Wentian allow Huang Shatian to succeed? The reason why his body was still in the treasured cauldron was because Huang Shaishan's attacks were too terrifying, able to penetrate through space. He naturally had to be on guard. Boom! Another thunderous sound rang out. The runic inscriptions in the treasured cauldron surged unceasingly, revolving to their limits. Wave after wave of attacks ferociously shot out, blocking the human emperor's sword. The sky grew dimmer and dimmer, the vortex grew stronger and stronger, enveloping Huang Shatian and the supreme emperor's sword within it, wanting to trap him within, causing him to be unable to extricate himself. Huang Shatian suddenly sighed when he saw Qin Wentian being protected by the treasured cauldron. Even his strongest divine weapon was unable to break through the defense of the cauldron, and when he glanced at the vortex of destruction, Huang Shatian suddenly sighed. This sigh seemed to penetrate through time and space. He, Huang Shatian, from a young age, grew to have unparalleled talent and was doted on by everyone. He himself was also someone who constantly strived to improve himself and never fell behind his peers. He stood out from the masses and was the one with the highest talent among the younger generation of the 9 emperors' immortal state. He was invincible and was extremely famous even in the central regions of the immortal realms. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he was also incomparably glorious. All the way until he met Qin Wentian. Not being able to kill Qin Wentian in the first battle seemed to be the greatest mistake of Huang Shatian. That battle was also the best opportunity for him to kill Qin Wentian. Sadly, he was too careless and missed that battle. After that, he actually couldn't kill Qin Wentian anymore. But now, he actually suffered a crushing defeat. Since the immortal realms already had Huang Shatian, why was there still a need for Qin Wentian? Even now, he was filled with reluctance in his heart. Chapter 13:13. A sense of sorrow radiated from Huang Shatian. Death wasn't something to be afraid of, it was just reluctance in his heart. He had always believed that he would have the accomplishments of an ancient emperor, establishing a new era, becoming the king of this era. This was his goal, his conviction. But now, there was actually a character on the same level as him who could suppress him. Qin Wentian could also sense the sorrow radiating from Huang Shatian. From a certain perspective, Huang Shatian was indeed an opponent worthy of respect. Disregarding all standpoints, only strength mattered. However, since they were born in the same era and became enemies, if they could kill each other, one of them would have to die. If he didn't die, it would be Huang Shatian. There was no need to doubt this point. Hence, Qin Wentian's killing intent didn't weaken in the slightest. He continued his frenzied slaughter. The spectators outside had no way to see the battle clearly. 2 peak-level Immortal Foundation experts with supreme divine weapons in their hands. Their strength has already exceeded the limits of Immortal Foundation and Devil Foundation experts. In fact, even ordinary Devil Kings would be slain by them. Just the radius of their attacks already covered an extremely terrifying area. Enough. At this moment, a thunderous voice thundered through the air. The spectators all felt their bodies trembling violently. After which, they only saw an incomparably gigantic palm imprint of darkness stretching over. This palm blotted out the sun, directly penetrating through the screen of swords, right in the middle of the 2 attacks, cutting off everything in its path. This sky-blotting palm was extremely terrifying. Devil might gushed forth, and with a sudden clench, all the attacks were instantly destroyed. The terrifying energy fluctuations caused Qin Wentian and Huang Shatian to retreat. With a flash of light, Qin Wentian directly kept his treasured cauldron, not wanting to expose it before his opponent. Inclining his head, he stared at the sky. His expression was extremely cold, exuding an icy intent. Evidently, there was an expert on the Devil Mountain who forcefully interfered in the battle between him and Huang Shatian. All of you, go up the Devil Mountain. Qin Wentian's eyes were extremely cold. He coldly spoke, since the Devil Mountain refused to protect my friends and expelled them from the Devil Mountain, this is already going against the will of the myriad Devil Sovereign. Right now, since we are fighting to settle our grudges, Senior is forcefully interfering. I don't understand what you mean by this. The gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian, silently musing at how audacious this fellow was. He was a true heaven's chosen, and their guts were also extraordinary. He actually dared to question the experts of the Devil Mountain. Then are you going up or not? The voice of the expert sounded again. He didn't respond to Qin Wentian's words at all. He was still as domineering as ever. Qin Wentian's eyes were extremely cold. Should he go or not? He was already at the foot of the Devil Mountain. How terrifying was the Devil Mountain? If they wanted to destroy him, it would be as easy as flipping their palms. In addition, Bai Qing was currently on the Devil Mountain as well. He still had to ascend the mountain. Qin Wentian basically had no choice. Since he had no choice, Qin Wentian only coldly laughed and didn't say anything else. He walked towards the direction of the Devil Mountain, extremely decisive. In fact, he didn't even glance at Huang Shatian. Clearly, the Devil Mountain wanted to interfere. This time around, it was impossible for him to kill Huang Shatian. Everyone stared at his back, trying to guess what Qin Wentian was thinking. The people from Qin Wentian's alliance followed after Qin Wentian. Their expressions were all extremely unsightly. Qin Wentian's tone clearly indicated that he had the upper hand in the earlier battle. If the battle continued, there was a high possibility that victory or defeat would be decided. At this moment, the expert who expelled them from the Devil Mountain interfered and even wanted them to ascend the Devil Mountain. They were naturally unhappy. Huang Shatian still stood there with a complicated look on his face, filled with disappointment and disappointment. The people from his alliance stared at Huang Shatian, their hearts were also filled with complicated emotions. From a certain perspective, this adjudication battle was also a battle between Huang Shatian and Qin Wentian. The two of them were simply too powerful, a level higher compared to the others. They were the kings of their respective cultivation realms. Their victory or defeat would directly determine the outcome of the adjudication battle. And Huang Shatian, who had always been unexcelled in the world, was actually defeated today. Qin Wentian and the others once again walked up the stairway leading to the Devil Mountain. There was a clear path ahead, there were no longer any obstructions. Their silhouettes flashed, their speed was extremely fast as they ascended the Devil Mountain. In the vast space outside the Saint Devil Hall, Qin Wentian and the others descended once again. Those people from Qin Wentian's alliance who were expelled from the Devil Mountain all returned. The eyes of many devil cultivators flashed as the experts from the various devil halls all gathered here. Qin Wentian was the same as Huang Shatian, he exited the Saint Devil Hall after Huang Shatian. In addition, he managed to rush down the mountain in time and brought his friends back. You obtained an inheritance in the sacred ground? An ethereal voice drifted over. Clearly, another expert from the devil halls spoke. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared up in the air as he coldly laughed in his heart. Senior, are you interrogating a criminal? Or could it be that the Devil Mountain has never truly respected the will of the myriad devil sovereign? It has always been a lie, wanting to plunder the inheritance of the myriad devil sovereign? Impudent! A cold voice rang out, exuding a supreme might, directly descending from the sky, landing on Qin Wentian, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wentian suddenly laughed uproariously. His laughter was extremely impudent as he stated, "Did I say something wrong? My friends were all invited here by the apostles of the Devil Mountain and they all passed the test of the myriad devil sovereign. They followed the will of the myriad devil sovereign and came to the Devil Mountain. However, because Huang Shatian obtained the inheritance, and because the various devil halls coveted the inheritance on him, they went against the will of the myriad devil sovereign and expelled my friends from the Devil Mountain. Is this the respect they have for the myriad devil sovereign? As for me, I exited the sacred ground and was questioned. I bathed in the radiance of the myriad devil sovereign and now, I'm being interrogated like a criminal. Is this the attitude the devil halls of the Devil Mountain have towards the inheritors of the myriad devil sovereign? Let me ask you, is there really anyone on the Devil Mountain who respects the myriad devil sovereign? Qin Wentian roared, extremely audacious. Sometimes, one needs to be a little more impudent. If you endure, the other party will take a step further, leaving you with no path of retreat. As the sound of his voice rang out, the gazes of countless devil cultivators turned to Qin Wentian. However, the voice in the air suddenly turned silent. The Judiciary Devil Hall is the protector of the will of the myriad devil sovereign, controlling order and ruling everything. Now, is this what you mean by protecting the will of the myriad devil sovereign? Qin Wentian continued. Even if you obtain the inheritance of one of the devil halls, you don't have the qualifications to be so arrogant. You are ultimately just a junior who ascended the Devil Mountain. Even if I really kill you, would the myriad devil sovereign blame me? A cold voice rang out, originating from the darkness Devil Hall. I left a strand of my immortal sense in the immortal realms. If the Devil Mountain wants to kill me, this means that the Devil Halls on the Devil Mountain are the true traitors, going against the will of the myriad Devil Sovereign. I naturally have to protect the inheritance of the myriad Devil Sovereign from falling into the hands of the traitors. I will spread the inheritance to every corner of the immortal realms, letting the immortal realms come and kill the traitors. Qin Wentian's voice was cold and domineering. Impudent! How dare you! Numerous cold voices rang out at the same time. If we kill you now, your immortal sense would dissipate. You are courting death. Qin Wentian's arrogant words clearly angered these major characters. Several of them spoke at the same time. Is that so? How do you all know that I don't have an avatar? There are many avatar techniques in the immortal realms, and some of the more powerful ones can survive even if the true body dies. It's extremely easy to kill me. However, do you all know which Devil Hall's inheritance I obtained? If the inheritance of the myriad Devil Sovereign is spread throughout the immortal realms, what would happen? Would the Devil Mountain still be the Devil Mountain? Qin Wentian roared, as though he wasn't afraid of death. As the sound of his voice rang out, the hearts of the major characters from the Devil Mountain trembled. You dare to threaten the Devil Mountain? Wanting to spread the inheritance of our Devil Mountain? A cold voice rang out once more. What a joke! The Devil Halls on the Devil Mountain are already prepared to betray the will of the myriad Devil Sovereign time and time again. What face do you all have to say that the inheritance of the myriad Devil Sovereign belongs to you all? It should be whoever obtained the inheritance would be the true inheritor of the will of the myriad Devil Sovereign. In that case, let me ask you. Are you willing to stay on the Devil Mountain to cultivate? Another voice rang out. But this time around, there seemed to be some compromise. I'm not willing. Qin Wentian directly replied. Since you aren't willing to stay on the Devil Mountain to cultivate, tell us what inheritance you obtained exactly. Another voice rang out. Or do you want to plunder? I obtained the inheritance of the myriad Devil Sovereign. Is there a need for me to tell you? All the Devil Halls on the Devil Mountain are already above the will of the myriad Devil Sovereign. Qin Wentian laughed. What do you want then? They didn't expect a junior to be so difficult to deal with. How audacious, he actually dared to openly challenge the prestige of the Devil Halls, completely lawless. I can't even see him. I want to ask everyone, what do you all want to do to me? It's not what I want to do. Qin Wentian quietly stood there. No matter what the other party said, he wouldn't budge. If he gave in so easily, he might not even be able to leave the Devil Mountain alive. Silence filled the air. This Qin Wentian was brazen, unmoved by force or persuasion. The cold eyes of those devil cultivators all stared at Qin Wentian. This was the first time someone dared to challenge the prestige of the Devil Mountain. Also, this person was just a junior. Qin Wentian directly closed his eyes. Since they chose to remain silent, let them remain silent then. Devil might fluctuated in the air. After that, several experts appeared in the air. They soared through the air, like unexcelled hegemons. Every step they took contained an unexcelled might as they walked towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian still had his eyes closed. He knew that these people have arrived. His purpose was to make them come out. These experts descended, standing in the region where Qin Wentian was at. After that, Wu Xiu from the Devil sects all bowed. Clearly, the statuses of these people were extraordinary. Chapter 13-14. A powerful devil cultivator walked to Qin Wentian and spoke. Now, can you speak? Qin Wentian opened his eyes and stared at the experts before him. He smiled. May I know the identities of seniors? I am the Devil Lord of the Darkness Devil Hall. The expert before him exuded an extremely terrifying aura. The Devil Lord was the level after the Child of Darkness ascended. He was someone who truly had terrifying authority. With a single command from him, the entire Darkness Devil Hall would tremble. If he was angered, he could even cause the entire myriad devil islands to tremble. Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall. A terrifying figure clad in blood-colored robes of the Judiciary Priest faintly spoke. His robes were even more luxurious compared to Bai Qing's. The status of the Judiciary Grand Priest was naturally above the Judiciary Priest. The people here were all lofty characters. If not, how could they have the qualifications to expel Qin Wentian's friends from the Devil Mountain? From a certain perspective, if the wills of these people were combined together, they would be able to represent the will of the Devil Mountain to a certain extent. The other experts who appeared were all characters with towering authority from the various Devil Halls. They were all like the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall and the Devil Lord. Qin Wentian stared at these people before him and suddenly laughed, as though he was mocking them. Are you seniors the ones who gave the order to go against the will of the myriad devil sovereign and expel my friends from the Devil Mountain? You asked us to come out just to ask this? The Darkness Devil Lord stared at Qin Wentian. Just a single gaze from him would cause people to feel fear. Naturally not. I asked all of you to come out because I want to ask if those who went against the will of the myriad devil sovereign and expelled my friends from the Devil Mountain should give me an explanation. Qin Wentian spoke. A terrifying pressure bore down on Qin Wentian. Numerous experts stared at Qin Wentian. This fellow was truly crazy. He actually wanted the Darkness Devil Lord and the Grand Priest to give him an explanation. You are truly audacious. The Darkness Devil Lord coldly spoke. In the entire Devil Mountain, there weren't many who dared to make him give an explanation. It's not that Junior is very gutsy. It's just that Junior feels that since this is the Devil Mountain, since Senior made a mistake and went against the will of the myriad devil sovereign, you should be brave enough to admit it. If not, Junior wouldn't be able to ascertain if all of you have betrayed the myriad devil sovereign or not. As for the matter of me obtaining the inheritance, I truly don't dare to account for it. Qin Wentian bowed, appearing extremely polite. However, this politeness could be said to be monstrously bold. Qin Wentian wanted the supreme experts of the Devil Mountain to give him an explanation. He was using the inheritance to threaten them. What kind of explanation do you want? The Great Priest of Judgment asked. As the judge of the will of the myriad devil sovereign, the Judiciary Devil Hall naturally knows that I don't need an explanation. In fact, the will of the myriad devil sovereign has to be respected. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Even when facing these supreme experts, he was still able to maintain such calmness. One couldn't help but to admire the courage of this fellow. Huang Shatian isn't willing to stay on the Devil Mountain to cultivate. In order for the inheritance of the myriad devil sovereign to remain here, what's wrong with sacrificing some? Even if I have to go against the will of the myriad devil sovereign, as the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Devil Hall, as the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Devil Hall, am willing to bear the consequences. I don't feel that there's anything wrong with this. If you also obtained an inheritance that has never existed before and are willing to hand it over to the Devil Mountain, you can also state your conditions. The Grand Priest spoke. How selfless. A mocking smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. To be able to sacrifice his allies so easily, if it wasn't for the fact that he had the inheritance of the Holy Lands in his body, these supreme characters wouldn't even bother to speak to him. They might even kill him directly. It's just that since seniors feel that it's not wrong for you to go against the will of the myriad devil sovereign for the sake of the Devil Mountain, I only see the myriad devil sovereigns will being tossed aside and trampled on as you wish. Since this is the case, please forgive this junior for not trusting all of you. Seniors, you can also kill me for the sake of the Devil Mountain and seize my inheritance, right? Qin Wentian mocked. Clearly, Qin Wentian had no intentions of compromising. Even at this moment, no one was able to find out what exactly he obtained from the myriad devil sovereign. Or could it be that he didn't obtain anything at all and was just bluffing? A stalemate. The supreme experts of the Devil Hall and Qin Wentian actually stood there in a stalemate. A junior actually acted so domineeringly before these supreme experts, not knowing how to compromise at all. The right to speak requires strength. If you obtain the inheritance of the myriad devil sovereign, I will get them to apologize to your friend. Just at this moment, an ethereal voice rang out in the air. This voice was ethereal, yet when it rang out, it contained an inviolable will. It was like his voice was a decree. If he wanted these supreme experts to apologize, they would have to apologize. Qin Wendian frowned as he turned his gaze to the air. You should know that these people are the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall and the Darkness Devil Lord. They are all experts who obtained inheritances before. Even if you obtained the inheritance, it doesn't mean that your status is higher compared to them. You are still just a junior. That voice rang out once more. Qin Wendian understood what the other party meant. Even if he obtained the inheritance, his status was still inferior to the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall and the Darkness Devil Lord. However, the other party was willing to make these people apologize to him and compromise. It wasn't because his status would change after he obtained the inheritance. The other party only wanted to tell him that even if he wanted to pay respect to the myriad devil sovereign, he had to have sufficient talent and strength first. Qin Wendian saw the changes in the expressions of the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall and the Darkness Devil Lord. Although it was very difficult to sense it, he could still sense it. He understood that the person who spoke had a very high possibility of being a supreme character from one of the devil halls. He laughed, you all can choose a disciple to come and test it out. The Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall turned his head, only to see the priest who appeared together with Bai Qing earlier walking out. He coldly stared at Qin Wendian as killing intent flickered in his eyes. Qin Wendian frowned as a cold intent flashed in his heart. In the next instant, devil might gushed forth from the priest as a blood-colored judgment spear appeared. With a wave of his hand, numerous blood-colored spears shot towards Qin Wendian. Rumble. Devil might gushed forth from Qin Wendian, causing the heavens and earth to churn. His eyes were terrifying to the extreme as the devil qi in the surroundings gushed towards him. His body seemed to have transformed into a black hole, frenziedly gathering devil might. Break! With a loud roar, the blood-colored judgment spears shattered into pieces. However, the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall stepped out, directly appearing before Qin Wendian. Boundless judgment light cascaded down from him, containing an incomparably fearsome will of judgment, blotting out the sky, enveloping everything, including Qin Wendian. Rumble. In the void, numerous bolts of blood-colored lightning flashed as scenes of destruction appeared. This place was like a purgatory of blood. The judgment spears were like bolts of lightning, wreaking havoc in this space. This was the true power of judgment, able to judge life and death, to judge fate. That Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall was bathed in this destructive storm of judgment. He coldly stared at Qin Wendian and spat out two words, judgment. As the sound of his voice faded, the boundless judgment storm gushed forth, engulfing everything as it rushed towards Qin Wendian. That entire space transformed into a blood-colored space of judgment, everything was under judgment. Qin Wendian inclined his head, the devil might radiating from him was still as majestic as before. With a loud roar, his body instantly devoured all the devil energy, including the judgment energy. A terrifying devil will manifested, erupting forth from his eyes. At this moment, the frenzied attack of judgment seemed to have halted, as though it was about to be frozen in this space. Rumble. Qin Wendian stepped out in the air. This step caused the heart of that Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall to tremble. Right now, Qin Wendian was simply unexcelled in the world, everything in the world had to submit to him. With Qin Wendian as the center, countless terrifying devil runes floated in the air. These runes were the strongest of the devil path. At this instant, even the judgment energy seemed to have stopped. That Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall roared in rage, but it was as though he couldn't block that terrifying might. Go! Qin Wendian lifted his palms and blasted out. At this instant, all the devil energy in the world was under Qin Wendian's control. The terrifying judgment energy gushed forth, aiming for that powerful Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall, wanting to destroy the world in an instant. Arg! Eyes of everyone flashed with shock as they stared at Qin Wendian. Judgment, he actually controlled the power of judgment and used it to kill the judgment priest. This was simply inconceivable. This was a power that the Devil Mountain had never possessed before. This was a brand new power. Qin Wentian was the same as Huang Shatian. This time around, two brand new inheritances actually appeared. As the devil might dissipated, Qin Wentian's silhouette remained floating in the air. Huang Shatian stared at the silhouette of Qin Wentian as he sighed in his heart. Before this, when they fought, Qin Wentian seemed to have faintly used this power as well, but it wasn't fully unleashed yet. The strength of this power was definitely not weaker than the inheritance he obtained. In fact, it might even be stronger. Apologize. A voice pierced through the air, directly descending on the Devil Mountain. That voice was filled with unquestionable authority. At this instant, the expressions of the Grand Priest and the Darkness Devil Lord changed. But when they thought of the owner of the voice, the Grand Priest stared at Qin Wentian and the others. Banishing you guys from the Devil Mountain is my fault. As he spoke, his eyes twitched. As the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall, he actually apologized to a junior. I was wrong. The Darkness Devil Lord's expression was extremely ugly to behold as he spoke. The supreme characters who participated in the banishment all apologized one after another. This was unprecedented on the Devil Mountain. You can freely cultivate on the Devil Mountain. If you are willing to stay, you can head to the Supreme Devil Halls and seek guidance from them. If you choose to leave, no one is allowed to obstruct you. That voice rang out once more, containing an unquestionable tone. This time around, even Qin Wentian had a look of bewilderment on his face. Chapter 13-15. This voice rang out, shaking the entire Devil Mountain. Characters like the Grand Priest and Darkness Devil Lord were here, yet this voice from the void actually dared to order them to apologize. From this, one could see how high the status of this person was. Above the Grand Priest and Darkness Devil Lord, there were only a handful of people on the entire Devil Mountain. In fact, there might even be some supreme hegemon characters who sat on the throne of the Saint Devil Hall. With such a character giving the order, the Devil Mountain couldn't make things difficult for Qin Wentian. In addition, he could head to any of the Devil Halls to cultivate and could also leave the Devil Mountain. No one was allowed to obstruct him. Such a privilege, his status had long surpassed the Judiciary Priestess and the Child of Darkness. Even if he obtained the inheritance from the Saint Devil Hall, this shouldn't be the case, right? Unless, the inheritance he obtained in the Saint Devil Hall had something to do with the myriad Devil Sovereign. When they thought of this, the hearts of everyone trembled as they stared deeply at Qin Wentian. Even the Grand Priest and the others were staring at Qin Wentian with complicated looks on their faces. As for the conflict between the two of you, since you are on the Devil Mountain, you still have to abide by some of the rules of the Devil Mountain. After you leave the Devil Mountain, you can do whatever you want. The Devil Mountain will not interfere. The voice rang out once more, clearly referring to Qin Wentian and Huang Shatian. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed, he glanced at Huang Shatian and nodded lightly. Since a supreme existence from the Devil Mountain has already spoken to this extent, he naturally wouldn't insist on it. Before this, he had already prepared for the worst. However, the words of this supreme existence seemed to have resolved many dangers. In this case, the Devil Mountain would no longer have any restrictions on him. Junior will naturally obey Senior's words. Qin Wentian politely spoke. Everyone, just disperse. The conflict between the sacred grounds has never stopped. How ridiculous. That voice was filled with a sense of imposingness. An intense storm seemed to have been settled at this moment. A supreme expert of the Devil Mountain spoke, and with just a few words, he was able to settle everything. This was what it meant to have supreme authority and status. Huang Shatian, come with us. The great priest of judgment said to Huang Shatian. They had already done what Huang Shatian asked them to do and even offended Qin Wentian. It would have been fine if it had been in the past, but now it seemed that Qin Wentian's status had become different. He had even alarmed that existence. In that case, no one on Devil Mountain would be able to touch Qin Wentian anymore. Huang Shatian calmly nodded his head, there was no expression on his face. It was impossible for him to break his promise. Casting a deep glance at Qin Wentian, Huang Shatian turned and left. A faint sense of desolation could be felt from him. But as he left, that desolation transformed into determination. He still had a chance. As long as he could break through to the immortal king realm first, he wouldn't have lost. Huang Shatian left. The experts from his alliance all had gloomy expressions on their faces. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at them and spoke to his allies, there are still a few more years. Everyone should cultivate well during this period of time. When the time comes, we will head to the Fallen Devil region together. Right. The crowd nodded. Right now, Qin Wentian could already suppress Huang Shatian. They were even more confident in this adjudication battle. Brother Qin, as expected of a genius on the same level as me. You can even turn the tables in such a situation. Awesome. Bujie walked up and praised. Naturally, he also praised himself. Qin Wentian glared at him, in the next few years, I still want to cultivate on the Devil Mountain. I will also pay a visit to the Myriad Ancient Devil Hall. Okay, you can come anytime. I will protect you. Bujie patted his chest and guaranteed. I will make a trip to the Judiciary Devil Hall first. Qin Wentian spoke. The 3 years deadline hasn't arrived yet. Little lass Bai Qing should still be locked up in the Blood Devil Cliff. He naturally had to head there. With a flash of his silhouette, Qin Wentian left alone, heading in the direction of the Judiciary Devil Hall. The Judiciary Devil Hall was incomparably imposing. Upon entering, there were many devil cultivators in blood-colored robes, exuding an intense killing intent. Junior Qin Wentian is here to pay a visit to the Judiciary Devil Hall. Qin Wentian spoke. From within the Judiciary Devil Hall, an expert walked out. This person was clad in the blood-colored robe of the Judiciary Devil Hall. He was also one of the Judiciary Devil Hall and was a Devil King-level priest. This priest walked towards Qin Wentian. Earlier, that voice gave the order for Qin Wentian to head to any of the Devil Halls. This naturally included the Judiciary Devil Hall. Brother Qin, I wonder if there is anything I can help you with? The Judiciary Devil Hall asked. I want to go to the Blood Devil Cliff. Qin Wentian directly replied. Right. That priest nodded. Brother Qin, follow me. As he spoke, he directly turned and led the way. Qin Wentian followed him, entering the depths of the Judiciary Devil Hall. Just like what he had expected, there was a completely different world within the Judiciary Devil Hall. After passing through the gate to the void, they actually came to another independent space. This place no longer resembled a devil hall, it was more like a city. As one of the 7 devil halls at the peak of the Devil Mountain, and the Judiciary Devil Hall was born together with the Saint Devil Hall, how many experts would there be? Generations after generations, how many juniors would there be? This vast space before them, was the true Judiciary Devil Hall. This way. That priest was extremely polite. Qin Wentian guessed that this might have something to do with the words spoken by the owner of the voice in the void. The identity of that person must be extremely terrifying, to the extent that even a Devil King-level priest would be so polite to him, leading the way. Although Priestess Bai Qing is in seclusion for 3 years, the Blood Devil Cliff is also a cultivation ground for our Judiciary Devil Hall. It can aid in raising one's strength. Every generation of priests of our Judiciary Devil Hall would experience the Blood Devil Cliff as well. In fact, even the disciples of the other halls would have such an opportunity. The Devil King priest slowly spoke. He brought Qin Wentian to a place guarded by powerful judiciary guards. Ahead of them, there was a cliff, and at the edge of the cliff, there seemed to be a spatial gate that led to the exit. That place is the Blood Devil Cliff. I will follow you there. The Devil King priest spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. After that, the two of them stepped out together, directly passing through the void gate. In the next instant, Qin Wentian came to a place where devil might ravaged the area. The devil Qi here was extremely violent and uncontrollable, exuding a sense of evil. This was an incomparably dilapidated city that seemed to have no boundaries. From afar, a terrifying devilish might could be sensed approaching. After that, a devil cultivator with disheveled hair appeared, exuding a violent blood Qi. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. This devil cultivator didn't seem normal at all. What sort of place is the Blood Devil Cliff exactly? Qin Wentian asked. There are some devil cultivators who failed to cultivate devil arts and lost their rationality, as well as some experts who violated the rules of the Judiciary Devil Hall. All of them are imprisoned in this Blood Devil Cliff. The Devil King priest spoke. His devil sense gushed out, enveloping this boundless space. In other words, most of the devil cultivators here are crazy and abnormal. This is a place where the Judiciary Devil Hall imprisons criminals. Qin Wentian's countenance turned cold. You should know what sort of place the Judiciary Devil Hall is. The Judiciary Devil Hall is in charge of adjudication. There are naturally many dark places. The Devil King priest calmly spoke. Qin Wentian actually had nothing to say in reply. He knew that the words of the Devil King were right. The Judiciary Devil Hall is in charge of adjudication. There would definitely be many dark places. In fact, they would even imprison criminals in a separate dimension, using them for tempering themselves. That little lass Bai Qing was actually thrown into such a place. No wonder Bai Qing was so cold in front of outsiders, like a cold-hearted devil cultivator. Because, she was the priestess of the Judiciary Devil Hall. During these years, she must have experienced too much. Let's quickly search for her. Qin Wentian spoke. At this moment, the devil cultivator actually lunged towards them. Qin Wentian lifted his hand and unleashed God's hand, directly killing the devil cultivator. The Devil King priest nodded. The two of them stood in the air and flew forward. On their way, they encountered many evil cultivators, but they either ignored them or directly killed them. Found her. At this moment, the Devil King priest spoke. After that, he flew towards a direction. Over there, Bai Qing's robes were extremely messy and there were even traces of blood on them. Her beautiful countenance was extremely pale, yet her countenance was extremely cold. All of a sudden, she sensed something. She turned and fled madly. Bai Qing, it's me. A voice drifted over. Bai Qing halted her steps as her brows furrowed. Priest? Why would he be here? An instant later, two figures appeared. Bai Qing saw Qin Wentian who was beside the Devil King priest. The coldness on her face instantly vanished, replaced by panic. She hurriedly tidied up her messy robes and long hair. Little lass Bai Qing. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he appeared before Bai Qing. He embraced her and patted her shoulder. Little lass Bai Qing, are you all right? Bai Qing blinked her beautiful eyes, as though she was still in a daze. When she heard Qin Wentian's question, she didn't even react. Only when Qin Wentian released her did a faint blush appeared on her face. A radiant smile appeared on her pale face as she shook her head. Wentian Gij, I'm fine. The Devil King priest who was standing behind had a strange look in his eyes when he saw this scene. He had already known Priestess Bai Qing for many years. This cold-faced priestess actually had such a side to her. Right now, she exuded the naivety of a young girl. How could she be the all-powerful priestess? If there's nothing else, I will leave first. Priestess Bai Qing should know the way out. Everyone here are Devil Foundation sinners, Brother Qin should be able to handle them. The Devil King priest spoke in a light voice, tactfully preparing to leave. Can she leave now? Qin Wentian asked. If Brother Qin wants to bring Priestess Bai Qing out, I believe the Grand Priest wouldn't say anything since there's only a short period of confinement left. The Devil King priest's silhouette flickered as he departed. Bai Qing's beautiful eyes stared at his departing back before turning to Qin Wentian. She still didn't understand what was going on. How did her Wentian Gij enter this place? Chapter 13-16. This Blood Devil Cliff was a place where criminals were imprisoned. This space was originally within the inner world of the Judiciary Devil Hall. Outsiders basically had no way to enter here, let alone the fact that the Grand Priest was the one leading him here. Also, earlier when the Devil King Priest left, he even said that even if she left the Blood Devil Cliff now, the Grand Priest wouldn't have any objections. This caused a curious light to flash in Qing'er's eyes as she stared unblinkingly at Qin Wentian. "Wentian Gidge, how did you do it?" Qing'er gently asked. "Are you referring to the Judiciary Devil Hall?" "Naturally, I directly walked in." Qin Wentian laughed. Qing'er's lips twitched as she rolled her eyes at Qin Wentian. "Stop bragging." "Ha, Qing'er, what sort of character is your Wentian Gidge? Is there anything I can't do?" Qin Wentian's lips curled up. He rubbed Qing'er's head as he joked complacently. Qing'er was a little dazed when she saw the look on Qin Wentian's face. After that, she started giggling. This scene reminded her of when she was young. She still remembered that when she was young, she was filled with admiration for her Wentian Gidge. Sadly, her elder sister didn't believe in her Wentian Gidge and chose the Yi clan. If not, Wentian Gidge would already be her brother-in-law. "Wentian Gidge, let's go out and talk." Qing'er hugged Qin Wentian's arm as she smiled. Just like when she was young, she liked to hang around him and play with him. "MHM," Qin Wentian nodded. This little lass Qing truly didn't change at all. The two of them soared into the air. From Qin Wentian, a terrifying devil might gushed forth, causing many devil cultivators to not dare to get close. Only those devil cultivators who had lost their rationality disregarded everything and tried to kill their way over. However, they were all crushed by Qin Wentian. Staring at Qin Wentian's strength, Qing'er smiled happily. As expected, there was nothing her Wentian Gidge couldn't do. Back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, she could still do something for Qin Wentian. But now, her Wentian Gidge could protect her again. "Qing-er, I was looking for you at the Devil Statue Cliff, but I couldn't find you. How did you become the Judgment Priestess?" Qin Wentian asked curiously. "I have no idea as well. Back then at the Devil Statue Cliff, I accidentally barged into an altar and was chosen by the Judgment Energy. After that, I learned that the Judiciary Devil Hall on the Devil Mountain of the Myriad Devil Islands had set up altars similar to the one on the Devil Statue Cliff in many particle worlds. Their altars were able to transmit their wills and directly choose Wu Xiao who was the most suitable to inherit the position of the Judiciary Priest." Qing casually guessed. "What about you? During this period of time when I was in seclusion, what happened when you entered the Saint Devil Hall? Could it be that you also obtained the inheritance of the Judiciary Devil Hall and was highly regarded by the Judiciary Devil Hall, allowing you to enter this place? If that's the case, wouldn't you also become the Judiciary Priestess in the future?" Qing casually guessed. "What about you, Wentian Gidge? During this period of time when Qing was in seclusion, what happened when you entered the Saint Devil Hall? Could it be that you also obtained the inheritance of the Judiciary Devil Hall and was highly regarded by them, allowing you to enter this place? If that's the case, wouldn't you also become a Judiciary Priestess in the future?" Qing casually guessed. Qin Wentian shrugged. "Inheritance of the Judiciary Devil Hall. Aren't you underestimating me a little too much?" Qing'er's beautiful eyes flashed, staring at the complacent look on Qin Wentian's face. She giggled. "How many inheritances did you obtain from the Judiciary Devil Hall?" "Nope." Qin Wentian shook his head. He glanced at Qing who was beside him as he smiled. "I think I obtained the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign." As he spoke, Qin Wentian rubbed his nose, that look of complacency on his face. Qing'er's beautiful eyes froze there as she asked in disbelief, "Really? There should be no mistake." Qin Wentian smiled as he stared ahead. Qing called out in surprise, her hands covering her mouth as she stared at Qin Wentian's face. A radiant smile appeared on her noble and beautiful face. "Wentian Gidge is truly awesome, to think that he actually obtained the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign. In that case, Wentian Gidge has a chance to become the Devil Mountain Lord." Qing mumbled. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he asked, Qing He, does the myriad devil sovereign really exist? If he does, is he on the Devil Mountain? I don't know. Qing shook her head. The myriad devil sovereign definitely exists. If not, the Devil Mountain wouldn't have been able to remain stable for so many years. All the devil halls would have long crumbled. The 6 halls at the peak of the mountain all have their own plans. I believe that if it wasn't for the true reverence in their hearts, the Devil Mountain would have long collapsed. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly, he also agreed with this point. The Devil Mountain was known as the Myriad Devil Hall. Other than the Saint Devil Hall, there were 6 other halls at the peak of the Devil Mountain, each with their own king. It wasn't that harmonious, but all of them obediently stayed on the mountain, none of them dared to rebel. In addition, through countless years, they had been compromising with each other. Clearly, there was someone they truly revered. For this person, other than the Myriad Devil Sovereign, there wouldn't be a second one. If there was a second person like this, that person would be the Myriad Devil Sovereign. However, I've never heard of the Myriad Devil Sovereign appearing before. There's only a single Saint Devil Hall that has always stood there, containing the inheritances of the various Devil Halls. All the Devil Halls on the Devil Mountain originated from that sacred ground. There's always been a rumor that if someone obtained the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign, that person would be the successor of the Devil Sovereign and would have a chance to rule the Devil Mountain, becoming the next Devil Sovereign. Qing slowly spoke. She stared at Qin Wentian. If this is true, in that case, Wentian Gij, you have a chance to become the next Devil Sovereign. Devil Sovereign? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He didn't think of this before. After obtaining the inheritance, he knew that he would face a crisis in the future. Luckily, there was a supreme existence who spoke up for him, resolving the crisis. Seems like that supreme existence who didn't show himself might know even more details. He wondered what it meant for him to obtain the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign. However, Qin Wentian couldn't be bothered to think too much about it. He would first cultivate on the Devil Mountain for a few years before returning to the immortal realms. As for the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign, that would be something to consider in the future. The him now was still far from being qualified. Little last Qing, I will tell you everything that happened on the Devil Mountain. Help me analyze who that supreme existence is. Qin Wentian spoke as he told Bai Qing about the conflict outside the sacred ground of the Devil Mountain. Bai Qing's beautiful eyes flashed with a light of contemplation. After that, she replied, it should be a supreme existence sitting on the throne of the Devil Hall. If I'm guessing, it should be that supreme existence on the judiciary throne. Judiciary Hall Lord? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Earlier when that voice rang out, it was indeed the Grand Priest who apologized first. From this angle, Bai Qing's guess might be right. The only person who could make the Grand Priest of the Judiciary Hall submit to him was that supreme existence on the judiciary throne. Also, this supreme existence was able to intimidate supreme existences from the various Devil Halls. For example, the Devil Lord of the Darkness Devil Hall. This indicated that the authority of this supreme existence could even threaten the other Devil Halls. The supreme existence on the judiciary throne had such towering authority. He was in charge of judgment, and if those people didn't submit, he could directly issue an order. Nobody on the Myriad Devil Islands would dare to defy him. Since he said that you can head to the various Devil Halls to cultivate, the various Devil Halls have to cooperate with you. In that case, wouldn't I be teaching Wentian Gij the judgment arts as well? Bai Qing's beautiful eyes suddenly flashed with a bright light. Forget it, I've already implicated you and brought you here. Qin Wentian shook his head. There's no way to impart the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign. It's a direct body-infused inheritance. If not, I can teach it to you. Don't worry, we've already guessed that the supreme existence is the supreme existence on the judiciary throne. In that case, the closer our relationship is, the happier the Judiciary Devil Hall would be. In the future, if you really become the controller of the Devil Mountain, wouldn't that be the ending the Judiciary Devil Hall wants to see? Bai Qing smiled. Qin Wentian stared at her. This little lass Bai Qing still had a carefree appearance in front of him, but in reality, she was already extremely intelligent. As the two of them spoke, they unknowingly arrived at the exit of the Blood Devil Cliff. Bai Qing used a unique method to bring Qin Wendian out of this space, returning to the inner world of the Judiciary Devil Hall. The Devil King priest was still waiting for them outside. When he saw Qin Wendian coming out, he couldn't help but to smile. "Priest Bai Qing, earlier the Grand Priest sent out an order. If Qin Wendian has any needs in the Judiciary Devil Hall, you will be in charge of it. You can also assist him in his cultivation." "I obey the Grand Priest's order." Bai Qing bowed. "Brother Qin, since Bai Qing is here to take care of you, I won't participate in this. Farewell." The Devil King priest sped away. Bai Qing stared at his back as her smile grew even more radiant. "Wendian Gidge, seems like the last trace of doubt in our hearts has been cleared by someone." Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. Seems like the Judiciary Devil Hall wanted to salvage their relationship with him, wanting to be friends with him. Qin Wendian didn't believe that this was merely because he obtained the inheritance of the Myriad Devil Sovereign. Maybe it was just like what Bai Qing said, the Myriad Devil Sovereign really did exist. At the very least, his will must exist on the Devil Mountain, allowing the Devil Mountain to operate according to the established rules. "Wendian Gidge, let's go and cultivate together. I will bring you to see some of the more powerful innate techniques of our Judiciary Devil Hall before I teach you everything I know." Bai Qing pulled Qin Wendian and left. Qin Wendian bitterly smiled as he shook his head. This little lass was even more anxious than him. Qin Wendian followed after Bai Qing. After that, he began a period of cultivation in the Judiciary Devil Hall, allowing Bai Qing to guide him. A year later, he walked out from the Judiciary Devil Hall and headed to the other Devil Halls. No one dared to obstruct him. However, the Apostle Devil Hall was extremely mysterious and wasn't suitable for him. The Darkness Devil Hall was secretive and didn't seem to welcome Wuxiu of the Immortal Realms. As for the Sky Devil Hall, Qin Wendian discovered that their techniques were inferior to the Judiciary Devil Hall. That devil cultivator had been hiding from him and didn't appear at all. In the Imperial Dragon Devil Hall, when Yulong Xingtu saw Qin Wendian appearing in the Devil Hall he was in and was being guided by an expert to look at the ancient records of his hall, his countenance was as unsightly as it could be. Right now, even on the Devil Mountain, his status as Yulong Xingtu was far inferior to Qin Wendian. How lamentable was this? The hatred he felt for Qin Wendian, most probably, he would never be able to take revenge for it. The Myriad Ancient Devil Hall was very friendly to Qin Wendian. It was just that Qin Wendian discovered that he wasn't suitable for the innate techniques there. Yet, Bujie was worshipped by the Myriad Ancient Devil Hall. Most probably, he was extremely suitable for the inheritance of the Myriad Ancient Devil Hall. Chapter 13-17. Spring passed and autumn arrived. Cultivation on the Devil Mountain was timeless. It was unknown when Huang Shatian and the others had already silently left the mountain. When Qin Wendian's alliance discovered this, Huang Shatian and the others had already retreated. Most probably, the people of Huang Shaishan's alliance understood that if they waited for Qin Wendian to leave the mountain together, they would have no chance to win against Qin Wendian. On this mountain, the Judiciary Priestess Bai Qing and the monk Bujie seemed to be standing on Qin Wendian's side. After leaving the mountain, Huang Shatian and the others would definitely think of other methods to ambush Qin Wendian and the others when they exited the Myriad Devil Islands. After all, other than the 100 participants of the adjudication battle, Huang Shaishan's alliance had many other experts as well. In terms of numbers, they had the advantage. As long as everyone gathered together, their chances would still be very high. Naturally, Qin Wendian didn't feel that they could rely on themselves to win this battle. One mustn't forget that the adjudication battle could be won using any methods, and Qin Wendian had already made his preparations since a long time ago. As the 10 years passed, Qin Wendian's cultivation base grew deeper and deeper. He who was already at the peak stage of Immortal Foundation, his next goal was the Immortal King Realm. Hence, there wouldn't be any more obvious breakthroughs. But at his current level, his comprehension of law energy grew more and more important. Such improvements would only be manifested during combat and wouldn't be visible during normal times. Wentian Gij, are you really going to leave? In the Judiciary Devil Hall, Bai Qing stared at Qin Wentian, feeling some reluctance in her heart. As a devil cultivator and a priestess of the Judiciary Devil Hall, it was impossible for her to leave the Devil Mountain and head to the immortal realms. After Qin Wentian left, she didn't know when they would meet again. The 10-year deadline for the adjudication battle is almost up. This battle has to come to an end eventually. However, now that I have the freedom to enter and leave the Devil Mountain, if there's a chance in the future, I can always come to the myriad Devil Islands to visit you again. Qin Wentian rubbed Bai Qing's head as he smiled. Of course, little Qing has to cultivate properly as well. Once you step foot into the Devil King realm, it'll naturally be more convenient for you to travel between the immortal and devil realms. Qing seriously nodded her head as a strange light flashed in her eyes. Okay, Qing will definitely work hard in her cultivation. But now, I have to personally send Wentian Gij to the immortal realms. Since this battle concerns the marriage between Wentian Gij and Sis Qing, and it's happening in the myriad Devil Islands, I naturally have to do my best. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He naturally understood Bai Qing's meaning. It's just that if we use the power of the Judiciary Devil Hall. Don't worry. Wentian Gij, you should have seen the attitude of the Judiciary Devil Hall towards you during these years. Don't forget our conjectures. Bai Qing smiled. Back then, that existence also said that as long as we descend the Devil Mountain, the Devil Halls on the Devil Mountain are not allowed to interfere in the battle between us. Qin Wentian frowned. We won't participate in the battle. I'm only going there to send Wentian Gij off. Naturally, if there are other devil cultivators who dare to help the other party, hee. Bai Qing giggled. Qin Wentian instantly understood what she meant. This little lass. Okay then, I will gather everyone and set off now. Qin Wentian nodded. During these years, there were quite a few allies who ascended the Devil Mountain, but there were only around 50 plus of them. As for the other experts scattered around the myriad Devil Islands, as long as they didn't die and weren't on the Devil Mountain, there was a high possibility that they would head to the exit by themselves. If this was the case, he had to head there earlier to avoid being hunted by Huang Shatian and the others. Qin Wentian gathered all the cultivators on the Devil Mountain together. Everyone naturally understood what Qin Wentian wanted to do. The deadline of 10 years was nearing. It was time for them to return to the immortal realms. At the foot of the Devil Mountain, there are still a few friends waiting for me. Let's head to the vast sky Devil Island first before heading to the Devil Gate leading to the immortal realms. Qin Wentian spoke. In this alliance, Qin Wentian was the core character. This adjudication battle also revolved around him, and in addition to the fact that his strength was already the strongest in the alliance, everyone naturally listened to him. A group of experts, in addition to an army from the Judiciary Devil Hall, set off from the Devil Mountain just like that. Bujia came to send them off. He temporarily had no plans to leave. There were still some peak geniuses from other immortal realms on the Devil Mountain. They also had no intentions of leaving. In this sacred ground of the myriad Devil Islands, there were many secret realms for cultivation. Although they cultivated immortality and not the devil, immortality and devil were interlinked. This would be of great help to their future path. On the vast Sky Devil Island in the vast Sky Devil region, in the Emperor Palace, the vast Sky Devil Emperor stood there, staring at a group of experts heading over as his eyes gleamed sharply. Beside him, his daughter was there as well. When she saw the young man who borrowed her daughter to meet the vast Sky Devil Emperor, her heart trembled slightly. Her father said that the army ahead came from the Devil Mountain. Now, they were here to protect Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was simply a monster. Devil Emperor. The subordinates of the vast Sky Devil Emperor who sent Qin Wentian to the Devil Mountain bowed. Qin Wentian smiled. Senior Devil Emperor, Qin Wentian is here for the appointment. Qin Wentian, you are truly a fellow who creates miracles. The Devil Emperor laughed, staring at Bai Qing who was beside him. Right now, Bai Qing was fully clad in armor, exuding an incomparably cold aura. Most probably, they are from the Judiciary Devil Hall of the Devil Mountain. Back then, Yulong Xingtu of the Imperial Dragon Devil Hall arrived and was incomparably tyrannical. As for the Judiciary Devil Hall, they were even more ancient and powerful compared to the Imperial Dragon Devil Hall. Their status on the Devil Mountain was also a level higher. This is the priestess of the Judiciary Devil Hall. A devil king at the side spoke. The priestess is truly dazzling. Since the Judiciary Devil Hall has come, I will get people to prepare a banquet. Senior, there's no need to trouble yourself. I'm in a rush and will head to the Fallen Devil region immediately. Qin Wentian smiled. Might as well. The vast sky devil emperor nodded. In that case, let's move out directly to the teleportation array and head to the Fallen Devil Island first. It would be faster. Sure. Qin Wentian nodded. The group of them directly headed out. The daughter of the vast sky devil emperor didn't follow them. Staring at the departing figures, a myriad of emotions flashed through her heart. An immortal realm expert, Wu Xiu, came to the myriad devil islands for the first time. From the time he participated in the birthday banquet of the fallen devil emperor to the peak of the Devil Mountain and finally led the troops of the Judiciary Devil Hall out, he only used a few short years. The radiance of some people was destined to be unconcealable. No matter where they went, they would radiate boundless light. She also faintly felt some admiration for her father. Back then, her father told her that since she chose to agree to Qin Wentian's request, she should be straightforward and not do things that would make Qin Wentian unhappy. It would be meaningless if she did that. Now, from the looks of it, her father was extremely wise, being able to lead the troops of the Judiciary Devil Hall down the Devil Mountain. Even if Qin Wentian broke his promise, there was nothing they could do. The vast Sky Devil Emperor's palace caused a huge commotion. Numerous experts floated in the air, all of them were incomparably shocked in their hearts. After the vast Sky Devil Island, it was the Fallen Devil Island's turn to be shocked. When the troops of the Judiciary Devil Hall passed by, it was similar to the time when Yulong Xingtu led the Imperial Dragon Army here, causing a terrifying hurricane. After the fallen Devil Emperor discovered this, he personally came here, and when he saw the silhouette of Qin Wentian, he didn't know what to think in his heart. Since the members of the Judiciary Devil Hall are here, do you need to rest in the Emperor Palace? The fallen Devil Emperor asked. No need. If you are sincere, you can come with us. But if you don't, forget it. Bai Qing's voice was cold as she spoke. Before Qin Wentian, this priestess was like a young girl. Even when facing a devil emperor, she still exuded a sense of coldness and imposingness. The eyes of the fallen devil emperor flashed. After a moment of silence, he nodded, okay. If priestess has any needs, feel free to speak. As a devil emperor, even if Bai Qing was a priestess, she had no authority to directly order him to do things. However, the status of the priestess of the Judiciary Devil Hall was even stronger compared to Yulong Xingtu. In the future, if she became a grand priestess, her authority would be towering up into the heavens. Who would dare to disobey her? Although Bai Qing said that it was fine if he didn't agree, Qin Wentian was already very unhappy with him and even brought the vast Sky Devil Emperor here. If he missed this chance again, who knew if Qin Wentian and the people of the Judiciary Devil Hall would hate him out of jealousy. Hence, after some consideration, he decided to make a trip there. Since this is the case, many thanks to Senior Devil Emperor. Qin Wentian smiled. With two Devil Emperors assisting him, there shouldn't be any suspense in this adjudication battle. Even if Huang Shatian brought Devil Emperors with him, with the experts of the Judiciary Devil Hall present, who would dare to interfere? Old Xia's death wasn't unjust. The fallen Devil Emperor sighed in his heart. Back then, the old Xia Devil King chose Huang Shatian to bully Qin Wentian because Qin Wentian was merely a junior. Without authority, it was useless no matter how high one's talent was. But in just a short few years, Qin Wentian was already able to lead the Judiciary Devil Army down from the Devil Mountain. Old Xia was destined to face this calamity. I will have to trouble Senior to lead the way to the Devil Gate leading to the Immortal Realms. Qin Wendian spoke. The fallen Devil Emperor nodded. Let us move out now. As he spoke, he led the way. Before Qin Wendian left, he glanced at the horizon. Over there was the direction of the Celestial Devil Lodge. Sighing silently in his heart, he turned and left this place. 2 Devil Emperors as well as an army of the Devil Path. Everywhere they passed by, huge waves of commotion arose on the fallen Devil Island. The rumors regarding Qin Wendian once again circulated around the entire island at an astonishing speed. Back then, Qin Wendian participated in the birthday banquet of the Devil Emperor and radiated boundless radiance. However, he was excluded from the top 3 rankers by the old Xia Devil King due to his selfishness. Qin Wendian rejected the reward from the Devil Emperor and left in a fit of anger. The 3 Devil Kings pursued him, but they were all killed by Qin Wendian. After that, Qin Wendian led the vast Sky Devil Emperor's army back and killed the old Xia Devil King, standing against the fallen Devil Emperor, shocking the entire island. But now, when he returned, not only did he bring the vast Sky Devil Emperor with him, he also brought the Judiciary Army of the Devil Mountain with him. The Judiciary Army that caused the 10,000 devils to weep. Even the fallen Devil Emperor had no choice but to submit, leading the way for Qin Wendian. What a hot-blooded story this was, causing the hearts of countless youths to be filled with fervor. In the Celestial Devil Lodge, 2 females stood together. One of them had tears in her eyes. He returned in such an inconceivable manner, even the fallen Devil Emperor had to compromise for him. Such a person truly radiated boundless radiance. The Lodge Lord of the Celestial Devil Lodge glanced at the delicate and beautiful woman beside her as she sighed in her heart. At the same time, she was incomparably shocked. Back then, Xianyu once said that one day when he sat on the throne in the starry space, the women around him would definitely be the focus of attention. As for her, she wasn't worthy. Now, that young man was actually walking step by step towards his throne. Chapter 13:18. What a sinister fellow. An expert from the Alliance beside Qin Wendian coldly spoke. The fluctuations grew more and more intense. In this incomparably gigantic Devil Gate, many parts of it could be seen. After that, numerous figures stepped out from the void, directly moving towards the gate. Intense fluctuations gradually spread out from the Devil Gate. Everyone held their breaths. Even the people on the side of the Skymist Immortal Emperor, who were filled with confidence, were extremely nervous. This tempering exercise would definitely allow Huang Shatian to return in an even stronger state. Today was the last day. If no one stepped out today, there would be no conclusion to the adjudication battle. If that was the case, who would be the victor and who would be the loser? 10 years in the myriad Devil Islands, I wonder what level Shatian is at now. Most probably, he is getting closer and closer to the Immortal King realm. An immortal emperor from the 9 emperors' immortal state laughed, as though he had absolute confidence in Huang Shatian. A true supreme genius would be able to survive even in the most dangerous environment. Hence, even if Huang Shatian and the others entered the myriad Devil Islands, he still believed that to Huang Shatian, this was merely an opportunity. 10 years, to immortal emperors, was simply too short. In the blink of an eye, many conflicts occurred in these 10 years. The experts from both sides didn't allow any immortal kings from the immortal realms to enter the Devil Gate. Even for immortal kings they didn't know, they were also forbidden from entering. This was all for the sake of preventing the people of the other side from entering. It could be said that both sides were in a state of mutual hostility. On this day, even those of the younger generation arrived one after another. For example, Qing Er. She also came here to follow by her father's side. It was naturally impossible for them to exit the Devil Gate. Back then when they entered the myriad Devil Islands, they had already made an agreement that if anyone entered before them, they would be killed without mercy. They could only exit within 3 months after the deadline of 10 years. The adjudication light slashed down, killing all the guards in disguise. Qin Wendian's expression was cold. Their movements had already been discovered. Even the Devil Emperor's devil sense had no way to locate them. Clearly, Huang Shatian wanted to be on guard and was monitoring them from afar. In that case, it was very possible that they wouldn't show themselves. In this way, he had missed another chance to kill them. The fallen Devil Emperor waved his hand as an illusory palm imprint directly grabbed the person who spoke, seizing his devil spear. Qin Wentian glanced at Bai Qing, feeling somewhat puzzled. Surround them. At this moment, Bai Qing suddenly spoke in a cold voice. After that, the experts from the Judiciary Devil Hall rushed out, surrounding the guards. The guards all grew even more nervous as they stared at these newcomers with fear in their eyes. Now, the deadline of 10 years had finally arrived. The battle at the foot of the demonic mountain seemed to have decided this 10-year battle. The Devil Gate of the Myriad Devil Islands has no guards at all. The commotion here can be seen from the Devil Mountain. Bai Qing spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered with a cold light as he stared at the group of guards. Since Bai Qing said so, it was obvious that these people were disguised as guards and were here to monitor the situation. Who told you guys to come here? Bai Qing stepped out, her voice cold. Many experts from the other side of the Devil Gate, including many immortal emperors, have already arrived. They were also waiting, and the experts from the Sky Mist Alliance were filled with confidence. However, as time flowed by, the deadline of 10 years has already arrived. The buffer period of 3 months was getting closer and closer, but there was still no one who managed to exit. This caused both sides to be extremely nervous. They couldn't see through the ending, causing everyone to feel suffocated. At this moment, a vast devil might gushed over from afar. Not long after, an army of devil cultivators could be seen rushing over, exuding a fearsome might. The guards at the entrance of the Devil Gate all frowned, their hands involuntarily trembled as they stared at the incoming experts. Could it be that both sides had no way to exit the Myriad Devil Islands in time? The 10-year deadline of the adjudication battle actually arrived under such an inconceivable atmosphere. When this day arrived, the gazes of many turned to Qin Wentian. These people were none other than Qin Wentian and his allies. After arriving, Qin Wentian swept his gaze over. There was no one from Huang Shatian and his allies. There was no one from his side as well. The days got closer and closer, more and more experts arrived. Jun Mengchen also came here, preparing to welcome Qin Wentian back. During these 10 years, he had roamed many places in the immortal realms and improved tremendously. But he didn't forget the promise he made with Qin Wentian. We came here on our own, wanting to extort some benefits. Hence, they continued to wait quietly. And as expected, during this period of time, several experts from their alliance gathered here. When they saw the lineup of Qin Wentian and his allies, their hearts were filled with shock. At this instant, a light fluctuation instantly caused countless gazes to land on the Devil Gate. Nervousness, anxiety, anticipation. A crisp cracking sound rang out as the devil's spear shattered. The tiny mirror at the tip of the spear floated there, faintly imprinting the scene in this space. Kill them. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. The eyes of those people flashed. One of them replied, no. Before this, did anyone fight here before? Qin Wentian asked. Such a situation shouldn't be possible, it was impossible for there to be no one here. But as the 3-month deadline approached, they faintly felt that this wasn't something impossible. Time truly passes by quickly. Evergreen, in a few more days, your daughter Qing-Er and the daughter of the White Emperor, Stained Glass, would be married into my Sky Mist Immortal Empire. At that time, we would be in-laws and we would be able to sit together, drink tea and chat. The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor laughed. Changqing the Great glanced at him and directly ignored his words. As the 10-year deadline approached, the Devil Gate of the Myriad Devil Islands, in a corner of the immortal realms, many experts gathered here. In fact, there were even several immortal emperors here. They were patrolling in front of the Devil Gate, as though they were guards protecting it. Kill! An austere voice rang out. Those people turned pale. They didn't expect that they would offend such a terrifying enemy and lose their lives for this mission. No wonder the rewards for this seemingly simple mission were so generous. Let's wait for the 10-year deadline to be up. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. The group of them set up camp here and time flowed by bit by bit. Initially, they thought that a decisive battle would occur before they exited this place. But the truth was that at the very last moment, the decisive battle didn't arrive. Huang Shatian. Qin Wendian's eyes flashed with coldness. Qin Wendian had long planned and agreed to the vast Sky Devil Emperor's request. But at the same time, the vast Sky Devil Emperor would act as his protector, and with Bai Qing's help, the situation was already set. However, Huang Shatian also had his own methods. He descended the Devil Mountain in advance and actually had people stationed outside the Devil Gate. In this case, their actions should have already been discovered by the vast Sky Devil Emperor. On the other side of the Devil Gate was the myriad Devil Islands. In front of the Devil Gate, there were quite a few devil cultivators roaming about. They were clad in armor and wielded devil spears in their hands. At the point where the spear tip connected to the spear shaft, there was actually a tiny mirror that shone with a dazzling light. Huang Shatian and the others didn't appear at all. When the two devil emperors and experts from the Judiciary Devil Hall appeared, Huang Shatian already understood that the adjudication battle has already ended. There was no way to reverse the situation. Kill them. Bai Qing commanded. Seniors, we juniors will leave immediately. Those devil cultivators trembled as they spoke. Yes, priestess. The experts from the Judiciary Devil Hall replied. In an instant, a destructive light flashed, causing those devil cultivators to feel terror in their hearts. They directly knelt and begged, "Spare us, there's someone who ordered us to stand guard here. There's no need for us to do anything." The adjudication battle for the promise of 10 years this time around was between Qin Wendian and Huang Shatian. But in truth, the truth behind this adjudication battle wasn't so simple. It was a competition between the peak powers of the immortal realms. If they won this battle, they would have already achieved their initial goal. It's just that it was a pity for those devil cultivators who died in the myriad devil islands. Because her cultivation base was lower, although she came here to send Qin Wendian off, she didn't enter the myriad devil islands. 10 years ago, those who entered the myriad devil islands to participate in the adjudication battle were all at the peak level of immortal foundation. Also, the vast majority of them had already broken through and comprehended a trace of immortal king might. The area outside the Devil Gate was extremely quiet. The presence of this army caused the experts of the myriad Devil Islands to not even dare to step out. Nobody knew what this army was doing and no one dared to ask them. This is a treasure. As long as the owner instills his energy into it, he would be able to monitor the situation here from afar. The vast Sky Devil Emperor spoke. Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, Evergreen Kingdom, ZD, GD, the Supreme Sword School, the Nine Emperors Immortal State, the Celestial Palace, the Taihua Immortal Dynasty, the Dongshengshan Gate, the White Tiger People, the Namhuang Clan, the Immortal Qianbian Gate. Which of these powers wouldn't be able to dominate an entire region? The leaders of these powers were all immortal emperors, and there were even peak-stage immortal emperors among them. Qin Wendian's eyes gleamed with Buddhic light, able to see through all lies. He could sense the lies of the other party as his expression turned even colder. If there was a battle here, it would mean that his allies had arrived long ago and were ambushed. His allies wouldn't have thought that these guards were here to monitor the situation here. But luckily, there's no longer any suspense in this adjudication battle. Duan Qingshan spoke. Qin Wendian nodded his head lightly. Although it was a pity that they didn't manage to kill Huang Shatian and the others, their main purpose for coming here was still the adjudication battle. Let's wait for the 3-month buffer period to end before we exit. Maybe, during these 3 months, our allies would come here. In addition, even if we exit, we have to guard against Huang Shatian and the others. If not, all our previous efforts might go to waste. Qin Wendian spoke as everyone agreed. At this moment, everyone was staring at the Devil Gate, anxiously waiting. Even if only one person walked out, victory or defeat would be determined. Chapter 13:19. More than 10 places on the Devil Gate started to tremble at the same time as numerous faces appeared. At this instant, the gazes of the people from the Devil Gate froze as they held their breaths. Qin Wentian. One of the silhouettes was especially eye-catching. With a single glance, one could tell that all these silhouettes were actually experts from Qin Wentian's side. The gazes of Changqing the Great froze. After that, he smiled. Today was the last day of the 3 months deadline. Just when they thought that there was a possibility that both sides wouldn't appear, Qin Wentian led so many experts back. There was only one possibility. Qin Wentian's group had been guarding the exit on the other side, not allowing them to step out. As for the other possibility, Huang Shaishan's group had all been killed. The probability of that was even lower. These people were all intelligent people. They instantly thought of this possibility. However, the people from the Sky Mist Immortal Emperor's side weren't willing to believe this possibility. Their countenances kept changing, especially those from the 9 Emperor's immortal state. Huang Shaishan's strength had been tested by them. In addition to that terrifying divine weapon, who would be able to stop him? In addition, their lineup was even stronger. Why would Qin Wentian's group dare to guard the exit? Unless they borrowed external help. But if Qin Wentian could do it, how could Huang Shatian not do it as well? Very swiftly, numerous silhouettes walked out from Qin Wentian's group, moving towards the crowd. The people around him were all in high spirits, as though victory was already in their grasp. This further verified the speculations of the crowd. The adjudication battle had already concluded. Qin Wentian, how is it? The Emperor Qianbian smiled. He was in a good mood when he saw Qin Wentian walking out. He should have already won. Qin Wentian smiled. Ha, good. The 1,000 Transformations Emperor Lord laughed. The eyes of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor also flashed with a smile as he spoke, thank you for your hard work. Qing, who was beside him, flashed and walked to the side of Qin Wentian. Her cold eyes revealed a smile as she stretched out her slender hand and held Qin Wentian's hand. Her soft palm gently rubbed Qin Wentian's palm, silently expressing the emotions in her heart. Qing, we won. Qin Wentian's other hand gently caressed Qing's hair as he smiled. Qing nodded lightly. She was as quiet as usual. There's still one more day. I don't think so, right? The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor had an unsightly expression on his face. This adjudication battle was initiated by him against the Evergreen Immortal Empire. Although there were many powers participating, the main characters were still his Sky Mist Immortal Empire and the Evergreen Immortal Empire. Creating such a huge storm in the eastern regions, initiating the adjudication battle in an era where there were no ancient emperors. If they were defeated in the adjudication battle, wouldn't they become a laughingstock? Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the Sky Mist Immortal Emperor as a mocking smile flashed in his eyes. There's indeed one more day. However, I'm afraid Senior will be disappointed. Not a single one of them will be able to come out. What do you mean by that? The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor coldly spoke. Nothing much, I'm just stating a fact. Qin Wentian replied. After that, he lifted his foot and moved towards the Immortal Emperors on his side. Because, on the last day of the adjudication battle, G.D., Nanfeng Guhong, Changqing the Great, Emperor Qianbian and the other experts were all here. Qin Wentian bowed to them, many thanks for the help of seniors. For this adjudication battle, there are some friends who might not be able to come out alive. Wentian has let down all of you. After entering the myriad Devil Islands, everyone was scattered. Many of them died while tempering themselves in the myriad Devil Islands. This can't be blamed on you. Also, when they were together with you, none of them died. Also, you even defeated Huang Shatian. If it wasn't for that battle, there would still be suspense in the adjudication battle. You have already done very well. Mo Zian, who was at the side, spoke. Everyone nodded. In truth, this adjudication battle was more like a battle between Huang Shatian and Qin Wendian. The two of them fought from the fallen devil region all the way to the myriad devil islands, finally deciding the victor. As for the others, it was more like they went to the myriad devil islands to temper themselves. He defeated Shatian. An immortal emperor from the 9 emperors' immortal state coldly spoke. What shameless boasting! How can Shatian be defeated by him? At the foot of the myriad devil mountains, everyone watched. Huang Shatian was defeated. If it wasn't for someone siding with him, he would have already died. Nanfeng Ruoxuan mockingly spoke. A powerful might gushed forth from the immortal emperor of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Can't afford to lose. Changqing the Great inclined his head and glanced at the immortal emperor as he coldly spoke. The adjudication battle hasn't truly concluded yet. I will wait for one more day. Although they knew the ending was already set, during these 10 years of waiting, they had always felt that they would win this battle. But in the end, they were defeated. They couldn't accept this. Hence, even if there was still a trace of hope, they were still filled with anticipation. Senior brother. Jun Mengchen walked towards Qin Wendian as he smiled. You finally defeated that fellow Huang Shatian. Back in Tiandao's Sacred Academy, I've always found that brother of yours to be an eyesore, thinking that he is invincible under the heavens. I truly wanted to see what expression he had when you defeated him. Jun Mengchen's words attracted cold gazes from the immortal emperor of the 9 emperors' immortal state. However, he couldn't be bothered to care about it. He continued, during these days, those people have always believed themselves to be infallible, as though they have already won the adjudication battle. I wonder what they are thinking in their hearts now. I hope they aren't thinking about how to overturn the adjudication battle and find other reasons to start a dispute. Qin Wendian sarcastically spoke. The immortal realms initiated the adjudication battle and they accepted it, winning the adjudication battle. However, he didn't think that the immortal realms would give up just like that. Maybe, they would find other excuses. This time, so many peak powers were implicated and the storm was so intense. If they let them retreat without obtaining anything, most probably, many of them would feel extremely unwilling. However, no matter what would happen in the future, they had already obtained victory in this adjudication battle. If the immortal realms were still unwilling, Emperor, you would be able to openly join in. Strands of intense baleful aura gushed over. These were experts from the White Tiger people. Most probably, these white tigers hated him the most. Tiandao's Sacred Academy's Qin Wendian roasted white tiger meat. The people from the White Tiger people wanted nothing more than to swallow him alive. This day seemed to be very long to the alliance of the Sky Mist Immortal Emperor. They always had hope, but in the end, they were still disappointed. After a day passed, Huang Shatian and the others still hadn't appeared. This indicated that the adjudication battle has officially ended. The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor, Zidi, Dongxing Heaven Emperor and the other experts all cast a deep glance at Qin Wendian. This little fellow back then was like an ant that they could kill with a single slap. Now, he has already broken through to the peak of Immortal Foundation. Although his cultivation base was pitifully weak to them, he was able to control the adjudication battle in the eastern regions. In the eyes of Zidi and Dongxing Heaven Emperor, the killing intent they had for Qin Wendian grew even more intense, even stronger compared to before. Seems like this young man couldn't be left alive any longer. If he continued to grow, he would surely become a calamity in the future. The people of the 9 emperors' immortal state were the most unwilling to accept this. That immortal emperor had an ashen expression. The adjudication battle with Huang Shatian as a participant was actually defeated. After Huang Shatian obtained the inheritance of the founding emperor, the 9 emperors' immortal state had high hopes for Huang Shatian. In addition, Huang Shatian was a peak-level genius from the Tiandao's Sacred Academy. The 9 emperors' immortal state hoped that in the future, Huang Shatian would be able to become a hegemon of an era. Not only in the 9 emperors' immortal state, but in the vast and boundless immortal realms, he would become a character akin to an ancient emperor. The defeat in the adjudication battle didn't seem like much, but from a certain perspective, it was Huang Shaishan's defeat against Qin Wendian. On the path to becoming a peak-level expert, the strongest person would be able to constantly eliminate his opponents and climb up step by step. From the looks of this defeat, the main character of that era wasn't Huang Shatian. Because, he was the one who was defeated. The experts of the Nine Emperors' immortal state glanced at Qin Wendian as killing intent flashed in their eyes. A dead person would never become the main character of an era. Qin Wendian frowned. At this instant, he actually felt several unmasked killing intents. A cold intent appeared in his heart. He, a minor character at the Immortal Foundation realm, actually caused so many immortal emperors to feel such intense killing intent towards him. He didn't know if he should feel proud or depressed. At this moment, a beam of light flashed in the air. Emperor Yu stood in the air and laughed. The deadline for the adjudication battle has arrived. The alliance of the Evergreen Kingdom is victorious. Since this is the case, the earlier adjudication battle shall be annulled. Not only did the adjudication battle win, it was a complete victory. Not a single person from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom alliance walked out. Such an ending was truly ironic. The adjudication battle was annulled. This was a battle that involved all the major powers of the eastern regions. Even the Namhuang clan, the Nine Emperors' immortal state, the White Tiger people and the other major powers. Was it going to end just like that? In the eyes of those immortal emperors, unmasked reluctance could be seen. Brother Skymist, I've disappointed you. Changqing the Great spoke, as though he was intentionally mocking the Evergreen Emperor. Even if we were defeated in the adjudication battle, could it be that Brother Changqing intends to break the agreement between the immortal empires? The Skymist Immortal Emperor coldly spoke. You actually dare to bring up the Dog's Head agreement between the immortal empires? How ridiculous. Changqing the Great was extremely unhappy. He even cursed, since the adjudication battle is victorious, the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom will no longer harass my Evergreen Kingdom, right? At this moment, I, Evergreen, officially announce that I will betroth my beloved daughter, Qing'er, to Qin Wendian. Changqing the Great solemnly spoke. The words of an immortal emperor were like 9 cauldrons. Changqing the Great's words undoubtedly wanted the Skymist Immortal Emperor to renounce the marriage agreement. After the adjudication battle was decided, Changqing the Great announced that he would betroth Qing'er to Qin Wendian. Could it be that the Skymist Immortal Emperor would regret it now? As expected, the expression of the Skymist Immortal Emperor turned black. The Namhuang clan, GD, and the other immortal emperors all stared at Changqing the Great. Seems like Changqing regarded Qin Wendian with great importance. This definitely wasn't a moment of rashness. Qin Wendian and Qing'er held each other's hands. The two of them exchanged glances and smiled as their bodies leaned against each other. Now that their Evergreen Emperor has announced to the world, there was nothing that could obstruct them. Chapter 1320. Today was truly a sunny day. At the very least, Qin Wendian felt this way. He inclined his head and stared at the sunlight before glancing at the Devil Gate behind him. All the gloominess had finally passed. Congratulations. Emperor Qianbian was the first to speak. Nanfeng Guhong's eyes flashed with a bright light as she cast a deep glance at Qin Wendian and Qing'er. Namhuang Yunshi of the Namhuang clan had a very good relationship with Qin Wendian. Even though Namhuang Yunshi was the holy successor, given the talent Qin Wendian displayed, the Namhuang clan could even make an exception and allow Namhuang Yunshi to marry him. However, Qin Wendian didn't seem to have such intentions. He preferred his childhood sweetheart, the daughter of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor. Congratulations. Nanfeng Guhong spoke. Qing'er, I wish you the best. GD smiled. Thank you, Master. Qing'er bowed to GD. Many thanks to seniors. Qin Wendian expressed his thanks. At this moment, a wave of energy fluctuations gushed out from the Devil Gate. The gazes of everyone turned over, and after that, they only saw a powerful devil cultivator stepping out from the Devil Gate. It was actually an immortal emperor. This scene caused the eyes of all the immortal emperors to gleam sharply as they stared at the figure who walked out. This person was naturally the vast Sky Devil Emperor. His agreement with Qin Wentian hasn't ended yet. He promised Qin Wentian that he would guard the Devil Gate for a day, and Qin Wentian didn't disappoint him. However, what caused the vast Sky Devil Emperor to be shocked was that there was actually a group of immortal emperors before him. Waves of terrifying immortal might gushed over. Although the vast Sky Devil Emperor was a Devil Emperor character, he couldn't help but to shiver at this moment as he cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. This fellow, seems like he had still underestimated Qin Wentian's background. Qin Wentian had several immortal emperors by his side. If Qin Wentian wanted to back out, there was nothing he could do. This is Senior Vast Sky Devil Emperor. In the myriad Devil Islands, it's all thanks to Senior Vast Sky Devil Emperor's care. Qin Wentian said. Immediately, everyone understood. As expected, he had borrowed external forces, and he had the Devil Emperor as his protector. No wonder Sha Tian and the rest didn't come out. Killing intent erupted from the eyes of the immortal Emperor of the Nine Emperors' immortal state as a terrifying aura surged towards the vast Sky Demon Emperor. The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor and the others felt the same as well. In an instant, the fallen Devil Emperor's body stiffened as he prepared to retreat at any moment. The adjudication battle has always allowed one to borrow external forces. The rules were set by both parties. Now that the adjudication battle has already ended, are all the immortal emperors here starting to vent their anger on others? Qin Wentian laughed. Chongqing the Great also spoke. Why? The adjudication battle has just ended and all of you are already planning to break the agreement? Senior Devil Emperor, please come over here. Qin Wentian spoke. The silhouette of the fallen Devil Emperor flashed, appearing beside Qin Wentian and the others as he glared at Qin Wentian. Luckily, he was someone from the myriad Devil Islands. In the future when he returns to the myriad Devil Islands, these immortal emperors wouldn't be able to do anything to him. If not, if he was someone from the immortal realms, he would definitely be in deep trouble. Even if he was a Devil Emperor, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Let's return. Qin Wentian spoke. Chongqing the Great nodded. The adjudication battle has already ended, let's go. We can leave now. Emperor Yu spoke. Let's go. Nanfeng Guhong also spoke. After that, the immortal emperors all left this place together. The vast Sky Devil Emperor also left together with them. Although the immortal emperors didn't ask much, since the vast Sky Devil Emperor followed them, it was clear that Qin Wentian had agreed to some conditions. If not, why would a Devil Emperor act for you? After they left, the Sky Mist Immortal Emperor and the others still didn't leave. They still wanted to wait for their people to come out. The expressions of the immortal emperors were all extremely unsightly. The White Tiger people spoke. Evergreen broke the agreement, ignoring the agreement between the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Evergreen Kingdom. Now, he even betrothed his daughter to Qin Wentian in front of everyone. Can the Sky Mist Immortal Emperor endure this? From your point of view, what should my Tenlon Heaven Kingdom do? The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor calmly asked. Although they were temporarily allies because of the same goal, their true relationship wasn't that good. Back then, the Evergreen Kingdom suffered heavy losses. Your Tenlon Heaven Kingdom is stronger than them, not weaker. Can't you act more domineeringly? The White Tiger people's voice was filled with demonic chi. You should have also seen that this battle is no longer a battle between my Tenlon Heaven Kingdom and the Evergreen Kingdom. All the major powers are involved as well. Just GD alone is extremely troublesome. Now that the adjudication battle has been won, if we continue to act, we would only anger Emperor Yu. That old fellow has been in hiding for so many years, no one knows where he came from. To think that he is actually so powerful. If we want to touch him, we can only do so if the Nine Emperors' immortal state and the White Tiger people use their full strength to aid us. It isn't something that can be done with just one or two immortal emperors. The Sky Mist Immortal Emperor calmly spoke. Clearly, he was unwilling and wanted to incite the White Tiger people of the 9 emperors' immortal state to get involved in this. The eyes of the immortal emperors of the 9 emperors' immortal state and the demon emperors of the White Tiger people flashed. If they truly wanted to get involved in this storm, it would no longer be a small matter. Even if they were immortal emperors, they wouldn't be able to make the decision. On the other side of the Devil Gate, the fallen Devil Emperor stared at the departing Vast Sky Devil Emperor. He instantly guessed that the Vast Sky Devil Emperor had an agreement with Qin Wentian. A trace of regret appeared in his heart, he might have missed out on something. Bai Qing stared at the Devil Gate as her beautiful eyes turned slightly moist. The time is up, she didn't know if her Wentian Gige has already left or not. After this separation, she didn't know when she would be able to see her Wentian Gige again. She hoped that Wentian Gige and Sis Qing'er would be able to live in bliss. Turning around, the gentleness in Bai Qing's eyes vanished, only leaving behind the nobility and coldness of a priestess. Let's return. With a command, the judiciary army returned, leaving this place in an imposing manner. The fallen Devil Emperor cast a deep glance at the Devil Gate before turning to leave as well. That junior named Qin Wentian was most probably someone he, a Devil Emperor, would never be able to forget. After they left, there would still be devil cultivators coming here before they returned. Several days later, Huang Shatian and the others arrived at the Devil Gate. Staring at the Devil Gate, Huang Shatian could only sigh in his heart. He initially thought that he still had a chance to fight. However, when he saw the 2 Devil Emperors from the Judiciary Devil Hall, his preparations were completely ruined. Against the Judiciary Devil Hall, the helpers he invited directly gave up. With just himself, how could he deal with 2 Devil Emperors? This battle, he lost without even fighting. Now, if he went out, how could he face the elders of the Immortal Empire? However, he still had to face all of this. Only by calmly admitting his failure would he have a chance to stand up again. Lifting his feet, Huang Shatian led his people towards the Devil Gate. They would remember the defeat of the myriad Devil Islands. In the blink of an eye, it has already been 3 months since the adjudication battle ended. During these 3 months, Qin Wentian reunited with his family and friends. The various immortal emperors also brought their juniors back to their sects and powers. The Skymist Immortal Emperor and the others seemed to have accepted their defeat. Everything was calm and peaceful. Only in the eastern regions, countless voices rang out. The fluctuations caused by the adjudication battle back then were too intense. In the royal palace of the Evergreen Kingdom, a heaven-shaking battle erupted. Immortal emperors descended and an emperor-ranked battle appeared. After that, the adjudication battle appeared, involving the major powers of the eastern regions. Right now, the adjudication battle finally concluded. It was rumored that the Evergreen Kingdom alliance led by Qin Wentian obtained a complete victory. When the deadline of 10 years was up, not a single expert from the Tenlan Heaven Kingdom walked out. After that, the ruler of the Changqing the Great officially betrothed the noble and beautiful Princess Qing'er to Qin Wentian, completely ignoring the marriage agreement between the Tenlan Heaven Kingdom. The Tenlan Heaven Kingdom was defeated in the adjudication battle, but they had nothing to say. For a period of time, Qin Wentian's name began to circulate through the countless cities of the eastern regions. Many rumors about him also began to spread. For example, it was rumored that back then, Qin Wentian was someone from a particle world and was once humiliated by the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. After that, he participated in the Dongshengshan Gate competition and obtained first place, rejecting the invitation of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor to take him in as a disciple, choosing to join the Emperor Qianbian instead, slapping the face of the Eastern Sage Immortal Realms. Another example was that he obtained first place in the Immortal Ascension rankings in the City of Ancient Emperors and headed to the Evergreen Kingdom Palace where his beloved, Qing'er, was from. At that time, no one in the same generation in the Evergreen Kingdom could stand against him. There were also rumors that he entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy and became one of the most dazzling characters there, able to summon the wind and summon the rain, an unparalleled character. The Tiandao Sacred Academy symbolized the birth of an ancient emperor. Qin Wentian might very well be the next ancient emperor. There were also people saying that when he went to the myriad Devil Islands to participate in the adjudication battle, he was able to summon the wind and summon the rain. There were even devil emperors who regarded him highly and helped him out. All sorts of rumors regarding Qin Wentian were countless, spreading throughout the eastern regions. This was especially so in the Cloud Prefecture city where the immortal Qianbian Gate was located, as well as the royal capital of the Evergreen Kingdom. In the eastern regions, there had never been an Immortal Foundation character who could be as famous as Qin Wentian. After all, in the immortal realms, many immortal kings weren't known by others. Only immortal emperors would be known by others. Given how many Immortal Foundation characters there were, it was already considered not bad for them to be famous in a city. Qin Wentian, despite being at the Immortal Foundation realm, his fame had already spread throughout the eastern regions. This could be said to be a miracle, and many youths even set him as their goal, hoping that one day, they would be able to be like Qin Wentian, becoming a character whose name shook the world. Just at the Immortal Foundation realm, he could already roam freely among the immortal emperors. In fact, even the ruler of the Evergreen Immortal Empire would betroth his most beloved daughter to him. This was simply a legend in the annals of history. In addition, Qin Wentian was someone who originated from a particle world, adding color to this legend, making it even more inspiring. However, Qin Wentian wasn't that happy about his fame. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. Fame wasn't a good thing. This was especially so when there were some rumors saying that he might become an ancient emperor after the appearance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Undoubtedly, this would cause him to be in the eye of the storm. This was especially so since he had offended so many major powers. In fact, there were even a few immortal emperors who revealed their killing intent towards him when he was outside the Devil sect. The killing intent of immortal emperors, to Qin Wentian, was an extremely dangerous thing. Chapter 1321. Right now, Qin Wentian was currently in the royal palace of the Evergreen Kingdom. The Changqing the Great has already announced to the world that Qing'er was betrothed to him and he could already be considered the prince consort of the Evergreen Kingdom. It was only right and proper for him to stay in the Evergreen Kingdom Palace. Because of this news, during these 3 months, everyone in the royal capital was discussing it. Qin Wentian and Princess Qing'er could be said to be a perfect match, an immortal couple. Both of them had outstanding talent, were handsome and beautiful, a match made in heaven. This was especially so for the adjudication battle this time around. It was rumored that Qin Wentian was the core. It was him who caused the adjudication battle initiated by the Tenlan Heaven Kingdom to fail. No matter from which angle one looked at it from, there was no doubt that he was the best candidate to be the prince consort. Naturally, the fact that the Changqing the Great was able to announce it to the world when he was only at the Immortal Foundation realm, could also be considered to be extremely daring. To ordinary people, a peak-level Immortal Foundation might be considered a pretty good strength. But to the royal clan of the Evergreen Kingdom, it was extremely weak. Right now, the Changqing the Great was in closed-door seclusion. During these 3 months, he learned that Qin Wentian actually possessed the sacred luminance and used it to cleanse his and the Emperor of Qianbian's bodies. Naturally, there was also the vast Sky Devil Emperor. After that, the vast Sky Devil Emperor took the initiative to return to the myriad Devil Islands. After all, this place wasn't his territory and he didn't want to be embroiled in the storm of the immortal realms. The things he did for Qin Wentian have already been completed and Qin Wentian had also been fulfilled. After the vast Sky Devil Emperor left, the Changqing the Great and the Emperor of Qianbian naturally wouldn't spread the news of the sacred luminance. They were only preparing to enter closed-door seclusion for a period of time, doing their best to grow stronger. In the Evergreen Kingdom Palace, there was a formation space. The formation space in the battlefield was vast and boundless. Qin Wentian was inside. In front of Qin Wentian, there was a middle-aged man with a dignified expression. Light flowed all over his body, enveloping the area around him. The light was actually the power of rules. Under this power, Qin Wentian felt that he could not lift his legs. They were extremely heavy. Try again. The middle-aged man spoke to Qin Wentian. His voice was like thunder, exploding into Qin Wentian's eardrums. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he abruptly stepped out, causing the earth to rumble. His entire body radiated a terrifying light as the ancient halberd in his hands stabbed out. The shadow of a great rock could be faintly seen, wanting to tear everything apart. However, at this moment, a wall appeared around the middle-aged man. It was an incomparably resplendent wall formed from immortal law energy. With a thunderous boom, the ancient halberd pierced through the wall. The terrifying collision caused a shrill sound to ring out. Qin Wentian's attack actually managed to penetrate inside, but the strength of the law energy within the wall continued to grow thicker and thicker, pressing down on Qin Wentian. Boom! A huge force directly slammed into Qin Wentian, causing him to be flung through the air. Qin Wentian borrowed the force of the impact to retreat. His feet were a little unsteady as he landed on the ground. He stared at the middle-aged man and shook his head. I initially thought that the distance between me and immortal kings wasn't that far. Who would have thought that it would be so great? Ha, have you fought against immortal kings before? The middle-aged man asked. I borrowed the power of treasures and even killed immortal kings before. Qin Wentian nodded. No wonder you would have such thoughts. The treasures you borrowed are definitely extremely powerful, so powerful that they can directly break apart the law domains of immortal kings. The middle-aged man spoke to Qin Wentian. He then continued, however, fighting with one's own body and fighting with the power of divine treasures are different. Many people have the illusion of breaking through to the immortal king realm, but in truth, they aren't considered true immortal kings. At the immortal king realm, law domains would be born. The closer one is to one's body, the more terrifying the law domain would be. Qin Wentian frowned as he asked in bewilderment, but after reaching the peak of Immortal Foundation, there are already many people who have stepped into the gate of the Immortal King realm. For example, those who participated in the adjudication battle this time around are all the same. Some of the more powerful characters have already immersed themselves in the adjudication battle for many years and their comprehension of law domains are already extremely high. Since I encountered such people, I should have the ability to defeat them. But why can't I defeat immortal kings? He involuntarily thought of Huang Shatian. Characters like Huang Shatian were already extremely powerful. There were also those who participated in the adjudication battle, and there were also many who were extremely close to the immortal king realm. However, among these people, he and Huang Shatian were the strongest. This made Qin Wentian feel that he was already strong enough to fight against ordinary immortal kings. Do you understand divine inscriptions? That middle-aged man asked. A little. Qin Wentian nodded. When you inscribe divine inscriptions, you have to inscribe them step by step, continuously completing each step, getting closer and closer to the completed divine inscription. However, what is the difference between a completed divine inscription and a completed divine inscription? The middle-aged man gave an analogy. A look of enlightenment appeared on Qin Wentian's face. That's right, he was someone who cultivated in divine inscriptions before and naturally understood this logic. Before a divine inscription is completely inscribed, even if one was a step off, the difference could be said to be 1,000 miles. If this step was wrong, the divine inscription would crumble. It was the same for divine inscriptions' grand formations as well. Before the formation was completed, there was a limit to its might and there was no way to compare it. The middle-aged man saw the expression on Qin Wentian's face and knew that Qin Wentian had already understood. He smiled. It's the same for cultivation bases as well. Before taking that final step, no matter how far you walk, the disparity between you and a true immortal king is still too great. Only when your law domain is completed and your body of laws is born, can you be considered to have truly attained the immortal king physique. Countless wuxiu have never been able to take that final step in their entire lives. I've benefited from the guidance. Qin Wentian bowed. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded. Given Qin Wentian's status, there was basically no need for him to bow to him. However, this young man seemed to be an extremely senior. His talent was extraordinary and he, who would soon become the prince consort of the empire, didn't have any arrogance at all. This was extremely rare and valuable. No wonder the evergreen immortal emperor would betroth the princess to him. Even if I don't explain such shallow logic, you will soon learn of it from others. I'm merely saying it first. Wentian, there's no need to be so polite, let's continue fighting. I know you haven't used your full strength yet, I really want to see if you can truly threaten immortal kings in your strongest state. The middle-aged man laughed. Right. Qin Wentian nodded, his eyes flashing with excitement. After that, a terrifying storm of law energy gushed forth from him as his silhouette flashed. He rushed forward once more, clashing against the immortal king. For a period of time, the sounds of battle shook the sky. Although Qin Wentian still wasn't able to shake the middle-aged man, he was still able to hold on. But even so, this already caused the middle-aged immortal king to feel admiration in his heart. This was the first time he had seen such a powerful immortal foundation character. For the next period of time, Qin Wentian stayed in the formation space, clashing against different immortal kings. This was an order personally given by the Chongqing the Great. He wanted some of the immortal kings in the royal palace to fight against him, allowing Qin Wentian to personally experience what the immortal king realm was like. Such cultivation conditions weren't something ordinary disciples of major powers would have. Right now, the cultivation base before Qin Wentian was precisely the barrier of the immortal king realm. This was why the Chongqing the Great made such an arrangement. Today, another immortal king appeared before Qin Wentian. This immortal king was actually very young. Seems like he wasn't very old when he became an immortal king. Also, his demeanor was extraordinary, different from the other immortal kings he met before. He exuded a faint air of arrogance. His Majesty gave the order for immortal kings to spar against you. Before this, you should have already fought against several immortal kings, right? That young immortal king asked. Qin Wentian nodded. Fine, make your preparations. Since this is a tempering exercise for you, I won't show any mercy. The young man indifferently stated. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered, what did he mean by won't show any mercy? However, he didn't ask. His aura gushed forth as he made his preparations for combat. Bzz. A wind gusted by. In an instant, the entire space was filled with the law energy of wind. The silhouette of the young immortal king vanished from sight. Qin Wentian's aura frenziedly erupted forth. His eyes of truth flashed as he saw a gray figure moving unceasingly. Fast, too fast. Immortal kings borrowed the power of the law domain of wind to move. How terrifying would their speed be? Sword light abruptly gushed forth along with the wind, akin to a terrifying bolt of lightning. The law energy of wind was already fast and sharp. Now that the sword chi was infused within, what sort of speed and sharpness would it be able to reach? Qin Wentian was fully focused. The shadow of the divine turtle appeared as demonic chi revolved around it, gushing forth violently. Puchi. The shadow of the divine turtle was directly torn apart. That sword light broke through the defense and slashed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian blasted out with God's hand before he managed to block it. Chi. However, that gray figure unceasingly stabbed out with his fingers. At this instant, the storm of wind that enveloped Qin Wentian actually completely fused with the sword chi. This was a storm that could kill. Qin Wentian's expression was extremely heavy. His entire body radiated an incomparably tyrannical aura as his flawless immortal foundation erupted forth. Countless ancient characters appeared on his body, suppressing the surroundings. However, the storm of wind was too sharp and intense, it continued tearing apart the ancient characters and continued on its way towards Qin Wentian. I have to break out of this encirclement. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Being surrounded by the storm of wind here, there was basically no way for him to fight. His eyes gleamed with light of truth as he rushed towards a location where the attacks were the weakest. A terrifying devilish light radiated from him, tyrannical to the extreme. Open a path. The god's hand shone with destructive light as it blasted out, destroying everything in its path. But at this moment, a gray figure flashed. It seemed to be a human figure. The figure stabbed out a finger in the direction where Qin Wentian was trying to break out of. In an instant, boundless windstorms actually gushed forth from the finger, blasting towards Qin Wentian. Just as he was about to make his move, several figures suddenly rushed into the formation. "Stop! What are you doing?" A loud roar rang out, sounding somewhat frenzied. However, that attack still blasted out. Qin Wentian's energy was completely destroyed. The terrifying attack pierced into his body, causing him to be flung through the air as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He only felt a destructive energy rampaging wildly within his body. The storm of wind dissipated in an instant. The young man laughed and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He stared at the newcomer and spoke, "His Majesty instructed me to temper him. I'm only here to spar with him. What are you guys so nervous about? You have been in the Immortal King realm for so many years and are already extremely proficient in controlling law domains. What cultivation realm is he at? The way you are fighting, you call it sparring?" The person who came was the Scarlet Eye Marquis, the husband of Princess Changping. He was an old acquaintance of Qin Wentian. He was now berating the young man. "If you can't do it, why do you still want an immortal king to spar with you? Is there any meaning to it?" The young man didn't give the Scarlet Eye Marquis any face. He coldly laughed and directly stepped out of the formation. Chapter 13:22. This fellow. The Scarlet Eye Marquis was somewhat unhappy. He stared at Qin Wentian, who was stabilizing his aura. "Wentian, are you alright?" "I'm fine." Qin Wentian shook his head. That young immortal king didn't seem to be very pleasing to his eyes. "That fellow's surname is Evergreen. This isn't an ordinary nobility. He is a relative of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor and has always been arrogant. Let me report this to the Evergreen Immortal Emperor and punish him." The Scarlet Eye Marquis spoke. "So this is the case." Qin Wentian silently mused. He smiled at the Scarlet Eye Marquis. "There's no need. It's normal for one to be injured during sparring. It would be making a big fuss out of nothing to report to the Evergreen Immortal Emperor for such a small matter." "That's true. However, that fellow earlier clearly had the intention of targeting you. Before this, we didn't arrange for him to spar with you. He was the one who entered the formation. Clearly, he did so intentionally." The Scarlet Eye Marquis spoke. Although he was somewhat angry, he was merely saying it. It was impossible for him to really report such a small matter to the Evergreen Immortal Emperor. If he did so, it would seem that Qin Wentian was too unmagnanimous. Evergreen Yuhao's father is the brother of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor and was extremely powerful. However, he died in the civil war back then. Hence, the Evergreen Immortal Emperor has always felt apologetic towards Evergreen Yuhao and nurtured him wholeheartedly, sending him to various places to cultivate. When you were still cultivating in Tiandao's Sacred Academy, he returned and has already broken through to the Immortal King realm. The Scarlet Eye Marquis stared at Qin Wentian. "He's targeting you. I guess it's because of the engagement between you and Qing'er." Qin Wentian nodded lightly. "Let's go out and chat." "Right." The Scarlet Eye Marquis nodded. The group of them walked out of the formation. The others stood guard at the entrance while the Scarlet Eye Marquis and Qin Wentian headed towards the direction of Princess Changping. "How do you feel after sparring during these few days?" the Scarlet Eye Marquis asked. "The path of cultivation is long. I can only take it step by step." Qin Wentian smiled. Given your terrifying foundation, once you step into the Immortal King realm, ordinary Immortal Kings won't be able to compare to you. It's easier said than done. Stepping into the Immortal King realm is still a long way off, and I don't even know how long it will take." Qin Wentian sighed. "Why do you say that? You are improving every day, and your comprehension of the laws is also very strong. Sooner or later, you will enter the Immortal King realm. Although others might need a very long time, I believe it won't take too long for you." The Scarlet Eye Marquis was very optimistic about Qin Wentian. In the immortal Qianbian Gate, it said that Senior Bai Wuya has already cultivated for 8,000 years. In addition, Senior Bai Wuya's talent can be considered extremely good. I wonder how long it will take for me to step into the immortal king realm. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. I've also heard of Bai Wuya before. Although he has cultivated for over 8,000 years, his current cultivation base should already be at the peak level of the immortal king realm. In that case, when he steps into the immortal king realm, the amount of time he would need would be far from being as exaggerated as 8,000 years. You must know that after reaching the immortal king realm, if you want to take another step forward, the amount of time required would far surpass the total amount of time you spent cultivating in the past. The Scarlet Eye Marquis replied. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. Senior brother Bai Wuya should have already walked very far in the immortal king realm. Tens of years ago in a particle world, he killed the Deep Flame Immortal King, a subordinate of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, on the spot. At that time, there was a battle between immortal kings, but senior brother Bai Wuya single-handedly turned the situation around. In addition, Bai Wuya's speed of cultivation is only in comparison to ordinary immortal kings, right? I know that some of the strongest geniuses from the peak powers have extremely terrifying cultivation speeds as well. As for you, you have already surpassed those geniuses of that level and your good fortune isn't bad at all. Why can't you step into the immortal king realm within a short period of time? His Majesty betrothed Qing'er to you when you are at the immortal foundation realm. Do you know what this means? In the immortal realms, which ruler of an immortal empire would have such courage? Is it really just because you obtained victory in the adjudication battle? The Scarlet Eye Marquis spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed, only to hear the Scarlet Eye Marquis continuing, this is something that has never happened before in the immortal realms. Qing'er is the most doted-on daughter of His Majesty. Do you know how much hope His Majesty has placed on you? Since this is the case, even if you can create an unprecedented cultivation record, what's wrong with that? Qin Wentian's heart trembled as he felt ashamed in his heart. He actually didn't understand why the Changqing the Great and the Scarlet Eye Marquis regarded him so highly. In fact, they even believed that he would be able to create an unprecedented cultivation record. Since the Great Emperor and the Scarlet Eye Marquis dared to think this way, why couldn't he have the same conviction? Senior brother Bai Wuya was very powerful, but he wasn't born strong. He relied on himself bit by bit, and after stepping into the immortal king realm, he grew even stronger, killing 13 experts at the same level as him. But at that time, in the projection of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor Palace, Bai Wuya's companions were the Undying Immortal King, Scarce Moon Immortal King and the others. Comparing Bai Wuya to them, he naturally had a huge advantage. In truth, Bai Wuya was still concealing some of his strength. It was only after he killed the Deep Flame Immortal King did the Eastern Sage Immortal King learn of his true strength. Since Marquis has put it this way, seems like I have to work even harder. Qin Wentian laughed. As the two of them chatted, they arrived at the Princess Changping residence. During these few days, he was mainly staying here. After all, Qing'er was only betrothed to him and hadn't truly married him yet. It was naturally impossible for him to move into the princess residence where Qing'er was staying. However, during these few days, Qing'er had been staying in the Princess Changping residence. Qing'er. Qin Wentian smiled when he saw Qing'er waiting for him. He walked up and held her dainty hands. Qing'er's aura was as cold as ever, she allowed Qin Wentian to hold her hands. Look at the two of you, you two are so young and innocent. I feel like I'm an extra. Princess Changping stared at the two juniors and smiled. In that case, let's leave and not disturb them. The Scarlet Eye Marquis also laughed. Let me and Qing'er take a stroll outside the royal palace. Qin Wentian spoke. All right, you two go ahead. Princess Changping didn't have any objections. Qin Wentian pulled Qing'er and left the place. Very soon, there were many figures following them from afar. These people seemed to be hidden in the darkness, but Qin Wentian knew of their existence. They were the people protecting him in the dark. These were extraordinary times. Although there had been peace for nearly 4 months after the adjudication battle, everyone understood that the people of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom Alliance wouldn't give up so easily. No one knew what they would do. Hence, even if they were in the imperial city of the Evergreen Kingdom, they still had to be cautious. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't reject the protection of these experts. He acted as though nothing had happened and left the royal palace with Qing'er, strolling in the bustling imperial city. On the bustling streets of the royal capital, there were many people coming and going. The silhouettes of Qin Wentian and Qing'er easily attracted the attention of the majority. The demeanor of the two of them was simply too outstanding. Not only that, Qing'er's cold beauty caused people to be stunned by her beauty. Many people were silently speculating that given the demeanor of these two, they definitely had extraordinary identities. Qing'er, many people are looking at you. Qin Wentian squeezed Qing'er's palm as he smiled. They're looking at you as well. Qing'er coldly replied. Their gazes are filled with envy and jealousy. Such gazes are truly enjoyable to look at. Qin Wentian's lips curled up in a satisfied smile, as though he was asking for a spanking. Being able to stroll in the crowd with the woman he loved, forgetting about cultivation and enjoying a rare moment of peace and tranquility, was truly a wonderful thing. Qing'er rolled her eyes at Qin Wentian. Shall we go to an inn and enjoy some immortal-tasting delicacies? Qin Wentian asked Qing'er. Sure. Qing'er nodded lightly. After which, the two of them headed towards an inn and chose an extremely good location, allowing them to overlook the surrounding streets and view the bustling imperial capital. Do you dislike crowded places? Qin Wentian asked Qing'er, who was sitting beside him. Qing'er stared at Qin Wentian as she lightly shook her head. With you around, I like everything. Qin Wentian blinked as he stared at Qing'er. This lass actually knew how to say such touching words. Upon seeing the fiery gaze of Qin Wentian, Qing'er's face revealed a soul-stirring expression. Qin Wentian held her dainty hand as he spoke in a light voice. Qing'er, actually I don't wish to marry you too early. Once in our particle world, I was able to give Qingqing a grand wedding. But in the immortal realms, the me now still needs to rely on your father. I have no way to give you a grand wedding. In that case, can we do it twice? Qing'er smiled. Qin Wentian blinked his eyes as he spoke in a gentle voice. Qing'er, I truly like you more and more. At a place some distance away from here, there was also an inn. At this moment, a young man was currently drinking wine in a certain location, seemingly in a bad mood. If Qin Wentian was here, he would be able to recognize that this young man was none other than the young immortal King Evergreen Yuhao, who had a prejudice against him in the formation earlier. Immortal kings were also humans, and humans would have their own troubles. Evergreen Yuhao naturally had his own troubles as well. Hence, he was drinking wine alone. At this moment, an old man in tattered robes walked into the inn. He exuded no aura at all and his eyes were cloudy. He stumbled as he walked towards Evergreen Yuhao and actually sat down. Evergreen Yuhao's eyes flashed with coldness. He was originally in a bad mood, yet there was actually someone who dared to disturb him while he was drinking. Young man, can you enjoy some wine? The old man's voice was hoarse. As he spoke, another voice rang out in Evergreen Yuhao's mind. Evergreen Royal Tribe, Evergreen Yuhao. Evergreen Yuhao's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at the old man. Being able to know his identity and even dare to sit before him, this old man was definitely not an ordinary old man. However, he truly couldn't sense any aura from this old man. It could only be that this old man's cultivation base was higher than him and could easily hide from him. Who are you? Evergreen Yuhao transmitted his voice back. Who I am isn't important. Back then, what sort of character was your father? He protected the Chongqing the Great and eventually died in battle. Although the Chongqing the Great treated you well, it was mostly because of guilt and pity. Your talent is shocking, yet you were always hidden behind the scenes. And now, a junior actually attracted so much attention. The Chongqing the Great even betrothed Princess Qing'er to him. From this, One can very well imagine that in the future, this junior would definitely have towering authority in the empire, standing above you and even commanding you. The old man slowly spoke. Evergreen Yuhao's expression changed, becoming somewhat unsightly to behold. He coldly scolded, "Impudent! The matters of the Evergreen Kingdom are not something you dare to talk about." Chapter 13:23. The sloppy-looking old man stared at Evergreen Yuhao and casually laughed. "Your father died in battle for Evergreen. Evergreen should treat you like his own son, but he didn't do so. He also didn't betroth his beloved daughter, Princess Qing'er, to you. Instead, he betrothed her to an outsider. To think that you are actually willing to do so. I originally have a good solution, but since you are willing, just pretend that I didn't say anything." The two of them communicated via voice transmission, not alerting anyone else. After speaking, the sloppy-looking old man directly turned and prepared to leave. "What solution do you have?" All of a sudden, Evergreen Yuhao transmitted his voiceover. "If you trust me, then come with me." The sloppy-looking old man turned his head and glanced at Evergreen Yuhao. Evergreen Yuhao frowned and hesitated for a moment, but eventually, he still stood up and followed behind the sloppy-looking old man. Qin Wentian and Qing'er didn't know what happened to Evergreen Yuhao. It was rare for the two of them to have such a leisurely time. Naturally, they would do their best to enjoy themselves. In truth, ordinary people would have more time to enjoy life. As for them, they were constantly working hard in their cultivation to increase their strength. Under the pressure from all directions, they could only try their best to grow stronger. Although Qing'er was extremely beautiful, nobody dared to disturb them when they walked on the streets. After all, this place was the royal capital of the Evergreen Kingdom, where experts were as common as the clouds. Their auras were extraordinary, and who knew what background they had. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to offend them casually. On the way, Qing'er had a few sets of immortal robes in her hands. These were all specially chosen by Qin Wentian for Qing'er. Qing'er was like a fairy that didn't eat the food of the mortal world. She didn't have any pursuits, but as long as it was chosen by Qin Wentian, she would be extremely happy. There were people specially prepared for her in the royal palace. Being able to choose clothes together with Qin Wentian naturally gave her a different feeling. Occasionally, a faint smile would appear on her cold face. At this moment, Qin Wentian's footsteps suddenly slowed. A silhouette appeared before him. It was actually the person who injured him in the formation earlier. According to what the Scarlet Eye Marquis said, this person was none other than Evergreen Yuhao, a member of the royal clan of the Immortal Empire. Qing'er kept the immortal robe in her hands. Her cold eyes stared at Evergreen Yuhao, not knowing what he meant by this. "Qing'er." Evergreen Yuhao walked over. Qing'er furrowed her brows. She had grown up in this particle world since she was young. Let alone Evergreen Yuhao, who was a member of the royal clan, she wasn't even close to her own elder brother. The only two men she was close to was her father, Chongqing the Great, and the other was Qin Wentian, who was by her side. "What's the matter?" Qing'er asked cold. "Qing'er, why are you so cold to me?" Evergreen Yuhao calmly spoke. Qing'er furrowed her brows, her originally cold eyes grew even colder. Upon seeing the look in Qing'er's eyes, Evergreen Yuhao laughed. "Indeed, you father and daughter have never valued me highly." As the sound of his voice faded, his eyes abruptly gleamed with an evil light. "Careful." Qin Wentian suddenly spoke, pulling Qing'er along as he retreated. His eyes gleamed resplendently, containing the will of truth within, able to see through all illusions. From Evergreen Yuhao's eyes, he could see killing intent. And as expected, at the instant he retreated, the killing intent in Evergreen Yuhao's eyes was completely unmasked. It was so violent that it was terrifying to the extreme. A member of the Evergreen royal clan actually had such a strong killing intent in him. It was simply unimaginable. Evergreen Yuhao instantly erupted forth with terrifying law energy as his law domain manifested. A boundless storm of law energy enveloped Qin Wentian and Qing'er, enveloping both Qin Wentian and Qing'er within. The fearsome storm of sharpness ravaged Qin Wentian and Qing'er, wanting to tear them apart. Evergreen Yuhao, stay your hand. Impudent. Everything happened in an instant. From afar, a thunderous roar rang out, causing everyone in this vast space to tremble. They turned their gazes in the direction of the voice, only to see a terrifying aura enveloping this entire space, powerful to an unfathomable extent. Immortal King, what's going on? The eyes of everyone gleamed with sharpness as their hearts trembled. They hadn't recovered yet. And at this moment, Evergreen Yuhao already acted. His body transformed into a shadow as he sped towards Qin Wentian. He wasn't aiming for Qing'er but for Qin Wentian. Fast, too fast. There was only an afterimage, so fast that Qin Wentian basically couldn't react in time. He could only rely on his powerful will to push out a palm strike towards Qing'er, causing Qing'er to fly away. Evergreen Yuhao's killing intent was locked onto him. In that case, as long as Qing'er separated from him, she would be able to avoid the aftershocks. Before this, Qin Wentian had already experienced Evergreen Yuhao's speed under the effects of his wind law domain. But clearly, that wasn't his maximum speed. Right now, he was facing Evergreen Yuhao who was using his full strength, exuding a powerful killing intent. Die! Evergreen Yuhao stabbed out with his finger. The space where Qin Wentian was at was about to shatter. From the moment Evergreen Yuhao's killing intent erupted to the moment he stabbed out with his finger, Qin Wentian only had time to do two actions. He pushed Qing'er away and pulled out his demon sword. The aura from Qin Wentian erupted forth in a frenzy without any pattern. The terrifying shadow of a great rock appeared, flapping its wings as it slashed through the air, wanting to destroy everything. The two attacks collided together. His demon sword was almost flung out of his hand. Other than this, the boundless killing intent from his law domain completely suppressed Qin Wentian's law domain. Their cultivation bases were no longer on the same level. Qin Wentian's law domain naturally had no way to defend against it. Chi, chi, chi. Terrifying tearing sounds rang out. Qin Wentian only felt his defenses shattering apart as the terrifying attacks left behind bloody scars on his body. He rapidly retreated, his immortal foundation erupted forth as demonic qi gushed forth. In fact, there was even a vast amount of devil might gushing forth, causing the space around him to be in chaos. A fearsome tempest manifested in this space, wanting to engulf Qin Wentian within it. A shadow appeared before Qin Wentian once more. It was none other than Evergreen Yuhao. Die! Evergreen Yuhao's eyes gleamed with an evil light. With a loud roar, he pointed a finger at Qin Wentian. A moment later, the tempest transformed into a sword of destruction that descended from the sky. For a moment, millions upon millions of sword beams slashed down at the same time, aiming for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian roared. The demon sword slashed out as the shadow of a great rock manifested. However, under the attack of an immortal king, it was directly broken apart. Qin Wentian wanted to take out his other two treasures, but it wasn't that he wasn't willing to do so. It was because Evergreen Yuhao basically didn't want to give him any time. If he wasted even a moment, his opponent's attack would be able to kill him. His immortal energy instantly turned devilish as devilish light towered up into the sky. His body radiated boundless light, resembling the body of a god. At the same time, boundless devil might gushed towards the tempest swords, transforming into a light of judgment that enveloped him completely. He then soared up into the sky, resisting the incoming attacks. The space where Qin Wentian was in was like an apocalypse. Everything was filled with destructive might as the two types of energy clashed against each other. Kill, kill, kill. Evergreen Yuhao's finger frenziedly pressed downwards, causing the earth to shatter. Qin Wentian was almost engulfed by the destructive might. Inescapable net. A cold voice rang out. Several immortal kings appeared, taking out their powerful divine weapons. In an instant, a dazzling white light flashed, causing everyone's eyes to be blinded. The translucent blades formed into an inescapable net that shot towards Evergreen Yuhao, instantly sealing the entire space. All the attacks were blocked within as intense sounds of collision rang out. Wentian! Qing rushed towards Qin Wentian. Her countenance was as pale as paper. Earlier, everything happened too fast, so fast that she didn't know what to do. Evergreen Yuhao actually wanted to kill Qin Wentian. This was simply unimaginable. Could it be that Evergreen Yuhao didn't want to live anymore? How foolish was this? It didn't seem like something an immortal king would do. Over at Qin Wentian's side, all the attacks landed. Qin Wentian stood there unmoving, causing Qing to hold her breath. Drops of blood dripped from her body as she breathed heavily. How dangerous! Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. He turned his head and stared at Qing as he smiled. Qing it's fine. Qing silhouette flashed, directly appearing beside Qin Wentian. Her hands trembled as she held his face. Who told you to do this? Protecting my wife, isn't this what I should do? Qin Wentian shrugged, not minding it at all. Qing rolled her eyes at him before turning back to the battlefield. The inescapable net trapped Evergreen Yuhao, and an army of immortal kings sealed this entire space. The spectators from afar already guessed who these two young men were. They were none other than Qin Wentian, who was the most rumored person in the royal capital, as well as Princess Qing, who was betrothed to him by the Evergreen Immortal Emperor. They actually encountered an assassination attempt in the royal capital. This was simply courting death. Qin Wentian similarly stared ahead, his eyes extremely cold. Very swiftly, the inescapable net was dispelled and Evergreen Yuhao was subdued. He transformed into a man of blood, his body penetrated by a divine weapon and was locked there. Princess and Sir Qin, please return to the royal palace. An immortal king came to the side of Qin Wentian and Qing as he spoke. Qin Wentian stared at Evergreen Yuhao as he spoke. His gaze seems a little abnormal. Yes, Evergreen Yuhao might have been controlled by someone. I will bring him back to the immortal empire to be dealt with. That immortal king spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with an intense coldness. Back then, when the three immortal kings chased after him, he was prepared and was able to hunt them down. However, Evergreen Yuhao launched a sneak attack. An immortal king suddenly launched a sneak attack. This was an extremely dangerous thing to do. If Evergreen Yuhao was controlled by someone, who was the one who wanted his life? That person clearly knew that ordinary